Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for rating me. It's great to have y'all here. Can you all see me okay? Can you hear me okay? One second. Should have done a bit more to clear my throat, I guess, but I think I'll be alright. A bit blurry. Yeah, it says the bit rate's a bit low at the moment. I'm not sure how to kick it back up, actually. Thank you for lurking. Let's see. Because I figured the bitrate would just jump back up afterward, but it doesn't seem to be doing that, and I'm not too sure. But it's like at half what it should be, so that's a bit of an issue. But can you hear me okay? Okay, yeah, you can hear me good. That's all right. That's fine. I'm sure it'll fix itself eventually. There we go. Got it on my throat. Let me just turn on a light here. Okay, now I'm all set. Okay, Chapter 6, Little Pictures. And our our chapter headings this time are The Postman Unmasked, A Terrible Engine, The New Pie, Mr. Lipwig Thinks About Stamps, The Messenger from the Dawn of Time. Oh, that's actually all of them? Not too many this time. Maybe it's a short chapter. Mr. Lipwig, said Mr. Pump. Moist looked up into the golem's glowing eyes. There had to be a better way of waking up in the morning. Some people manage with a clock, for heaven's sake. He was lying on a bare mattress under a musty blanket in his newly excavated apartment, which smelled of ancient paper, and every bit of him ached. In a cloud kind of way, I was aware of Pump saying, "The postmen are waiting, sir. Inspector Grote." Yeah, Grote said you would probably wish to send out properly on this day. Moist blinked at the ceiling. Postal Inspector? I promoted him all the way to Postal Inspector? Yes, sir, you are very ebullient. Memories of last night flocked treacherously a tap dancer specialty acts on the famous stage of grand old embarrassing recollection. Postmason, the Brotherhood of the Order of Posts. They're old men, sir, but Rye? They're pensioners now, but they all volunteered. They've been here for hours, sorting the mail. I hired a bunch of men even older and Grote. Did I do anything else? You gave a very inspirational speech, sir. I was taking the pressure to point out that the angel is just the word for messenger. Not many people know that. That is true, actually. That is what the word means. So there's something you probably didn't know. On the bed, Moist slowly tried to cram his fist into his mouth. Oh, and you promised to bring back the big chandeliers and the fine polished counter, sir. They are very impressed. No one knows where they got to. Oh, gods, thought Moist. And the statue of the gods, or they are more, that impressed me even more, I would say, because apparently it was melted down many years ago. Did I do anything last night to suggest that I was sane? I am sorry, sir. But once remember the light and the whispering of the mail, it filled his mind with knowledge or memories he didn't remember ever acquiring. Unfinished stories, he said. Yes, sir, you thought about them at length. I did? Yes, sir, you said that every undelivered package is a piece of space-time that lacks another end, a little bundle of effort and emotion floating freely. Packs millions of them together, and what they do with letters are meant to do. They communicate and change the nature of events. When there are enough of them, they distort the universe around them. It all made sense to Moist, or at least as much sense as anything else. And did I actually raise up in the air glowing gold? I think I must have missed that, sir. You mean I didn't, then? In a manner of speaking, you did, sir. But in the common everyday reality, I didn't. You were lit, as it were, by an inner fire, sir. The postmen were extremely impressed. Oh no, now it's dipping even more. That's not good. The kilobytes or whatever, the bit rate's dropping even more. That's not good. Well, as long as you can hear me, I think it'll be okay. No, it looks the same? Well, I guess that's not worse then. I don't know why it is, though. Moist eyes lay on the winged hat which had been thrown carelessly on a desk. I'm never going to live up to all this, Mr. Pump. They want a saint, not someone like me. Perhaps a saint is not what they need, sir. He sat up and a blanket dropped away. What are my clothes? I'm sure I hung them on the floor. Hung them neatly on the floor. I did in fact try to clean your suit with spot removal, sir, but since it's effectively just one large spot, I removed the entire suit. I like that suit. At least you could have saved it for the dusters or something. I'm sorry, sir. I assumed the dusters had been saved for your suit. But in any case, I obeyed your order, sir. Moist paused. What order? He said suspiciously. Last night you asked me to obtain a suit fit for a postmaster, sir. You gave me very precise instructions, said the golem. Fortunately, my colleague Stitcher22 is working at theatrical customers. It's hanging on the door. And the golem had even found a mirror. It wasn't very big, but it was big enough to show Moist that if he was dressed any sharper, he'd cut himself if he walked. Wow, he breathed. El Dorado or what? And the suit was a cloth of gold, or whatever actors use instead. He was about to protest with second thoughts and everything quickly. Good suits helped. A smooth tongue was not much help in rough trousers, but people would notice the suit. Not him. I almost said soup. He'd certainly be noticed in this suit. It lit up the street, and people would have to shade their eyes to look at him, and apparently he asked for this. It's very... He hasn't said. The only word was fast. I mean, it looks as if it's about to speed away at any moment. Yes, sir. Stitcher22 has a skill. Note also the gold shirt and tie to match the hat, sir. You couldn't get him to knock up something a little more somber, could you? Said covering his eyes, also being blinded by his own lapels. For me aware when I don't want to illuminate distant objects, I shall do so immediately, sir. Well, he said, looking at the lie of his sleeves, let's speed the mail then, shall we? The formally retired postmen were waiting in the hall in a space clear from last night's mail drop. They all wore uniforms, though since no two were exactly alike, they are not, in fact, uniform, and therefore not technically uniforms. Clever. The caps all had peaks, but some were high-domed and some were soft, and the old men themselves had ingrown their fellows too. So the jackets hung like drapecoats and trousers were like concertinas. As is wont the old men, they wore their medals and a determined look that was ready for final combat. Delivery ready for inspection, sir, said Postal Inspector Grote, staying attention so hard that sheer pride lifted his feet a full inch off the floor. Thank you. Right. He wasn't sure what he was inspecting, but he did his best. Wrinkled face after wrinkled face stared back. The medals, he realized, weren't all military service. The post office had medals of its own. One was a golden dog's head worn by a little man with a face like a pack of weasels. What's this, Senior Postman George Aggie, sir. The badge? 15 bites and still standing, sir. Well, that's a lot of bites, isn't it? But I fox hunter number 9, sir, and got myself a 10 legs, sir. You lost your leg? No, sir. Bought a bit of old armor, didn't I? He said, grinning artfully. Did my heart to hear their teeth squeaking, sir. Aggie, he mused, and memory sparked. Weren't you? I was the worshipful master, sir. Hope you won't take the last night the wrong way, sir. We all used to be like young Tulliver, sir, but we gave up hope, sir. No hard feelings? No, said Moist, rubbing the back of his head. And I'd like to add my own message of congratulations as chairman of the Thankful Order of Postal Workers Benevolent and Friendly Society, Aggie went on. Oh, thank you. Who are they exactly? That was us last night, sir, but I thought you were a secret society. Not secret, sir, not exactly secret, more ignored, you might say. These days it's just about pension, make sure your old mates get a proper funeral and they return to cinder, really. Oh, well done, said Moist vaguely, which seemed to cover everything. He stood back and cleared his throat. Gentlemen, this is it. If we want the post office back in business, we must start by delivering the old mail. It's a sacred trust. The mail gets through. It may take 50 years, but we'll get there in the end. You know your walks. Take it steady. Remember, if you can't deliver it, if the house is gone, well, if it's gone back here, and we'll put it in the dead letter office, and at least we'll have tried. We just want people to know the post office is back, understand? A postman raised his hand. Yes, his skill remembering names is better than his skill remembering anything else last night. Senior Postman Thompson, was it? Yes, sir. What do we do when people give us letters, sir? Sorry, I thought you delivered the mail, don't you? No, Bill's right, sir, said Grote. What do we do if people give us new mail? What did you used to do with it? The postman looked at one another. Get 1 penny off of them for the stamping, bring it back here to be stamped with the official stamp. Then it gets sorted and delivered. So people have to wait until I see a postman? That seems rather... Oh, in the old days there are dozens of smaller offices, see, but when it all started going bad, we lost them. Well, let's get the mail moving again. We can work things out as we go along. I'm sure ideas will occur. Now, Mr. Grote, you have a chic secret to share. I think my mouth's getting ahead of my brain. I tried to read share before secret. Came out as secret. Anyway, Groat's keyring jingled as Ed moisture post on cells and eventually to a metal door. You know, to link the black and yellow rope on the floor, the watch up in here too. The floor clicked open, there was a blue glow inside just faint enough to be annoying. Leave purple shadows on the edge of vision make the eyes water. Voila, said Groat. Is that a theater? Some kind of theater organ? Said Moist. It's hard to see outlines of the machine in the middle of the floor, but there stood all the charm of the torturer's rack. The blue glow was coming from somewhere in the middle of it. His eyes were steaming already. A good try, sir. It's actually a sorting engine. It's the curse of the post office, sir. It had imps in it, and for the actual reading envelopes, so they evaporated years ago. But just as well, too. His gaze took in the wire racks outside the whole wall of the big room. They found a cloak. Oh, by the way, about the imps he was talking about. Basically, cameras and things all work by imps in this story, or in the setting, rather, instead of any sort of mechanical means. So instead of just taking a picture and produces a picture based on what the camera sees, they have a tiny imp inside the camera that just paints a picture really fast, and that sort of thing. So imagine for a sorting engine, they just read the letters really fast and sort them into particular piles. But anyway. His gaze took in the wire racks up a whole wall of the big room. They found chalk outlines on the floor. The chalk glowed in a strange light. The outlines are quite small. One of them had 5 fingers. Industrial, actually, murmured. All right, Mr. Groat, tell me. Don't go too near the glow, sir. That's what happened to Mr. Wobbleberry. But he snuck in here all by himself later on. Oh, dear, sir. It was poor young Stanley that went and found him, sir, after he fell his poor little tittles dragging something on the passage. A scene of carnage met his eyes. You can't imagine what it's like in here, sir. I think I can. I doubt you can, sir. I can, really. I'm sure you can't, sir. I can, alright? Do you think I can't see all those little chalk outlines that can get them? Oh, little chalk outlines, so they just made separate ones for all the bits. That's creepy. Now I can get on before I throw up. Right you are, sir. Ever heard of Bloody Stupid Johnson? Quite famous in the city. Didn't he build things? Wasn't there always something wrong with him? I remember I read something about it. That's the man, sir. He did build things. Sad to say there's always a major flaw. In Moist's brain, a memory kicked the neuron. Wasn't he the man who specified quicksand as a building material because he wanted the house finished fast? That's right, sir. Usually a major flaw of the designer was Bloody Stupid Johnson. Flaw, you may say, was part of the whole thing. But to be fair, a lot of things he designed worked pretty well. It's just they didn't do the job they're supposed to. The thing is, he began life as an... this thing, sir, did indeed begin life as an organ, but ended up as a machine for sorting letters. The idea was you tip the mail back in the hopper, and the letters are speedily sorted into racks. Postmaster Cowherby meant well, they say. He was a stickler for speed and efficiency, that man. My granddad told me the post office spent a fortune on getting it to work. And, lost their money, huh? Oh, no, sir, it worked. Oh, yes, it worked very well. Well enough people went mad, come to finish. Let me guess, the postman had to work too hard? Oh, the postman always work hard, sir, he said without blinking. No, what got people worried is finding letters on a sorting tray a year before they're due to be written. Oh, I see. That's a conundrum. There was silence, and in that silence, Mush tried out a variety of responses from pull the other one's got bells on to that's impossible, and finally decided it all sounded stupid. Court looked dead serious. They said, how? The old postman pointed to the blue glow. Have a squint inside, sir. You can just see it. Don't get right above it, whatever you do. He moved a little closer and peered in the machinery. You could just make out the heart of the glow, a little wheel that was turning slowly. I was raised in the post office, I grew behind him, born in the sorting room, weighed on the official scales, learned to read from envelopes, learned figuring from the old ledgers, learned geography, which he spelled Jography rather than the usual one. Geography, from looking at the maps of the city and the history from old men. Better than any school, sir, but never learned geometry, sir, which he also spelled with a J-O. A bit of hole in my understanding, all stuff by the angles and such like, but this, sir, is all about pi. Like the food, he said, drawing back from the sinister glow. No, sir, like in geometry. Oh, you mean the number you get when... He paused. He was a radically good math, so he could calculate odds and currency very, very fast. There may have been a geometry section in his book, but at school they never seen the point. He tried, anyway. He tried to find the point. It's all to do with the number you get when the radius of a circle... No, it was the length of the rim of a wheel is 3 and a bit times the... Oh... Yeah, pi is confusing. Something like that, sir, probably. Something like that. 3 and a bit, that's the ticket. Only Bloody Stupid Johnson said that was untidy, so he designed a wheel where the pi is exactly 3. And that's it there. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. Welcome back, Sensei. We just found out that this machine they're looking at has been altered somehow so that pi doesn't mean 3.14. It just means 3. Somehow. He altered universal math when he made the machine. So apparently that's sending letters into the future. The letters are literally arriving, they're arriving on a year before they're supposed to. But that's impossible. You can't do that. Pi is like built in. You can't change it. You have to change the universe. Yes, sir. They tell me that's what happened. I'll do the party trick now. Stand back. Oh my gosh. Groat wandered out to the other cells and came back with a length of wood. Stand further back, sir. He suggested and tossed a piece of wood on top of the machine. The noise wasn't loud. It was sort of a clop. It seemed the noise that something happened to the wood when it went over the light. There was a suggestion of curvature. So a piece of timber clattered on the floor along with a shower of splinters. They had a wizard in to look at it, said Groat. He said the machine twitched just a little bit of the universe so pi could be free, sir, but it plays hobbit anything you put too near it. The bits that go missing get lost in space-time continuum, sir. But it doesn't happen to the letters because of the way they travel through the machine, you see. There's the long and short of it, sir. Some letters come out of the machine 50 years before they're posted. Well, why didn't you just switch it off? Couldn't, sir. It keeps going on like a siphon. Anyway, Wizard said if we did that, terrible things might happen because of quantum, I think. Well, can you stop feeding it mail, couldn't you? Ah, well, sir, there it is. You position your digit right in a nub or crux, sir. We should have done that, sir. We should have, but we tried to make it work for us, see? Oh, the management had schemes, sir. How about delivering a letter in Dolly's? This is 30 seconds after it's posted in the city center, eh? Of course, it wouldn't be polite to deliver mail before we got it, sir, but it could be a close run thing, eh? We were good, so we tried to be better. And somehow it was all familiar, noiseless and glumly. Time travel is only kind of magic, after all. That's why it always went wrong. Oh dear. That's why there are postmen with real feet. That's why clacks were a string of expensive towers. Come to that, that's why farmers grew crops and fishermen trail nets. Oh, you could do it by magic. You certainly could. You could wave an arm and get twinkly stars and a fresh baked loaf. You could make fish jump out of the sea already cooked. And then somewhere, somehow, magic would present its bill, which is always more than you can afford. That's why it was left to wizards who knew how to handle it safely. Not doing any magic at all is the chief task of wizards, not doing magic, because they couldn't do magic, but not doing magic where they could and didn't. Any ignorant fool could fail to turn someone else into a frog. You have to be clever to refrain from doing it when you knew how easy it was. And I mean, just imagine if you could just set people on fire or turn them into frogs with just a thought. It gets mighty tempting, I imagine. Mighty tempting indeed. There are places in the world conglomerating these times when wizards hadn't been quite so clever as that, and maybe then the grass would never grow again. Anyway, there's a sense of inevitability about all this. People want to be fooled. They really believe you found gold nuggets lying on the ground, that this time you could find a lady that just for once the last ring may be real. Word spilled out of Mr. Hart like stashed mail from a crack in the wall. Sometimes the machine produced 1,000 copies of the same letter, or filled the room with letters from next Tuesday, next month, next year. Sometimes there are letters that hadn't been written, or might have been written, or meant to have been written, but letters that people once sworn they had written and hadn't really, but nevertheless had a shadowy existence in some strange invisible letter world and were made real by the machine. So, what I'm reading is this machine not only delivers mail to them from the future, it makes duplicates of letters that they shouldn't be getting, and produces letters from alternate realities where things are slightly different. So, good luck sorting out all that shit is all I gotta say. Like, holy shit, where do you even start? So yeah. Oh, the bitrate's going back up, that's good. Let's see. Seems pretty erratic, but it's not bad, apparently. Let's see. If somewhere any possible world could exist, and somewhere there was any letter that could possibly be written, somewhere all those checks really were in the mail. They poured out letters from the present day, trying to be not from this present day, but ones that might have probably some small detail of change. It didn't matter the machine had been switched off, the wizard said. It existed in plenty of our present, so it worked here owing due to lengthy sense which the postman didn't understand, which had the words like portal, multidimensional, and quantum in it. quantum being set in twice. They didn't understand, but they had to do something. No one could deliver all that mail, so the rooms began to fill up. The wizards from the university have been jolly interested in the problem, like doctors being real fascinated with a new virulent disease. The patient appreciates all the interest very much prefer if they either came up with a cure or stop prodding. The machine couldn't be stopped and certainly shouldn't be destroyed. Destroying the machine might well cause the universe to stop existing. Ah, shit. On the other hand, the post office was filling up, so one day Chief Postal Inspector Rumblelow had gone in the room with a crowbar, ordered all the wizards out, and belted the machines until things stopped worrying. And the letter stopped at least. This came as a huge relief, but nonetheless the post office had regulations, so the postal inspector was brought before Postmaster Crowerby and asked why he decided to risk destroying the universe in one go. According to post office legend, he replied, "Firstly, sir, I reasoned if I destroyed the universe all in one go, no one would notice, and secondly, if I wanted the thing the first time the wizards ran away, so I surmised unless they had no universe to run to, they weren't really sure." Okay, that is badass right there. Well, they didn't flee to another universe, so I guess it must be just doing something right. And lastly, sir, the blade thing was getting on my nerves. Never could stand machinery, sir. And that was the end of it, sir, so Mr. Rose left the room. Hi, Drac. So I'm going to back up for Drac's sake here, because this really was incredible. So it turns out the post office has this letter sorting machine, and apparently, for some reason, the guy that made it decided 3.14 is too untidy for the number pi. So he somehow twisted the universe so that pi would equal exactly 3. And now the machine sorts letters just fine, but it's getting them from the future and from alternate universes. So they gotta deal with that now. And eventually, they asked some wizards about magic and such, about what they can do about it, and they told them, you shouldn't mess with it because it might destroy the universe. And then Chief Postal Inspector Rumblelow had gone in the room with a crowbar and ordered all the wizards out and belted the machine until things stopped worrying. The letters ceased at least. This came as a huge relief, but the post office had regulations, so the post inspector was brought before Postmaster and asked why he decided to risk destroying the universe in one go. According to legend, he had replied, "Firstly, sir, I reasoned if I destroyed the universe in one go, no one would notice, and secondly, when I walked the thing the first time, the wizards ran away, so I surmised unless they had another universe to run to, they weren't too certain. And lastly, sir, the blade thing was getting my nerves. Never could stand machinery, sir." So, yeah, that was something, and that's why the entire post office is full of a massive mountain of letters. "And that's the end of it, sir," said Mr. Gross as they left the room. "I actually heard from where the wizards were saying the universe was destroyed all in one go, but instantly came back in one go. They said they could tell by looking, sir, so it was okay to let Rumblelow off on the hook on account of being hard to discipline a man under regulations for destroying the universe. Mind you, there were postmasters that were giving it a try, but not the stuffing out of us, sir. It was all downhill after that. The men had lost heart. It broke us, to tell you the truth." "Look, said Moist, the letters we given the lads are not for somebody to mention, or don't worry, I checked them last night. They're just old. Most you can tell by the stamp. I'm good at telling which ones are properly ours, sir. Had years to learn. It's a skill, sir. Could you teach other people?" "I dare say yes." "Mr. Grote, the letters have spoken to me," Moist burst out. The surprised old man grabbed his hand and shook it. "Well done, sir," said tears on his eyes. "I said it is skill, didn't I? Listen to the whispers, that's half the trick. They're alive, sir, alive. Not like people, but like ships are alive, sir. I swear all them letters pressed together, all the passion of them, sir. Why, I think it's played something like a soul, sir, indeed I do." The tears coursed down his cheeks. "It's madness, of course," thought Moist, but now I got it too. "I can see it in your eyes, sir. Yes, I can. The post office has found you. It's been folded, yes, sir. Yes, it has. They'll never leave it, sir. These families, they'll work here for hundreds and hundreds of years, sir. Once Postal Service puts a stamp on you, sir, there's no turning back." He disentangled his hand as tactfully as he could. "Yes," he said. "Do tell me about stamps." Thump. Moist looked down at the piece of paper. Smudgy red letters, chipped and worn, spelled Ankleport Post Office. "That's right, sir," said Grote, waving a big metal and wood stamp on the floor. "I banged the stamp on the ink there, and then bang it, sir, with a letter. There, see? Done it again. Same every time. Stamped." "And this is worth a penny," said Moist. "Good grief, man. I could afford just with half a potato. That always was a bit of a problem, sir. Yes. Why is the postman to stamp the letters anyway? Why don't you just tell people to stamp?" "But then they pay a penny to go on stamping forever, sir," said Grote reasonably. "In the machinery of the universe, the wheels will inevitably click into motion." "Well then," said Moist, staring thoughtfully, how about a stamp you only use once?" "You mean not like much ink?" His brow wrinkled, causing his toupee to slip sideways. "I mean if you stamp the stamper lots of times and cut off all the stampings." He stared at the inner vision, only to avoid the sight of toupee slowly crawling back. The toupee's alive! The rate for delivery anywhere in the city is a penny, right? Except for shades, sir, it's 5 pence because of the armed guard. Right, okay. I think I may have something to be up this. Might have something here. He looked at Mr. Pump, who was smoldering in the corner of the office. Mr. Pump, would you be so good to go along to the goat and spirit level over a hen and chickens? That's publishing for Mr. Robinson's box, please. You may want $1, and while you're over there, there's a printing ball shop over away, teamers and spools. Leave a message saying the Postmaster General wishes to discuss a very large orders. Teamer and spools, they're very expensive, sir. They do all the posh printing for the banks. They're the very devil to forge, I know that, said Moist, or so I've been told, he added quickly. Watermarks, special weaves in the paper, all kinds of tricks. So, a penny stamping and a 5-penny stamping. What about posts to other cities? It's 5 pence to slow that, 10 or 15 the others, $3 all the way to Galena. We used to have to write those out. We'll need a $1 stamp then. He started to scribble on scrap paper. $1 stamp, who'd buy those? Anyone who wants to send a letter to Galena, said Moist. They'll buy 3 eventually, but for now, I'm dropping the price to $1. $1, that's thousands of miles, sir. Yep, sounds like a bargain, right? He looked torn between exultation and despair. But we've only got a bunch of old men, sir. They're pretty spry, I'll grant you, but, well, you gotta learn to walk before you try to run, sir. No, his fist on the table. Never say that, Tulliver. Never. Run before you walk. Fly before you crawl. Keep moving forward. You think we should try and get a decent mail service in the city? I think we should try sending letters anywhere in the world, because if we fail, I'd rather fail really hugely. It's all or nothing, Mr. Grote. Wow, sir, said Grote. He grinned his huge, bright, sunny smile. It nearly reflected off his suit. Let's get busy. We're gonna need more staff, Postal Inspector Grote. A lot more staff. Smarten up, man. The post office is back. Yes, sir, said Grote, drunk on views. We'll do things that are quite new and interesting ways. You're getting the hang of it already, said Moist, rolling his eyes. And now I'm seeing that enthusiasm I remember from the second book. He's very, inventive, Moist is. 10 minutes later, the post office received its first delivery. It was Senior Postman Bates, blood streaming down his face. He opened the office by 2 watchmen carrying a makeshift stretcher. I'm wandering the streets, sir, one of them said. Sergeant Colin, sir, at your service. What happened to him? Moist said, horrified. Bates opened his eyes. Sorry, sir, Murder held on tight, but they belted me over the bounce with a big thing. A couple of toughs jumped him, said Sergeant Colin. They threw his bag in the river, too. Does this normally happen to postmen? I thought, oh no. The new painfully slow while Senior Postman Aggie dragging one leg as had a bulldog attached to it. Sorry about this, sir, said Lim before. I think my official trousers torn. I stunned the bugger in my bag, sir. It's a devil to let go. The bulldog's eyes are shut. He'll be thinking about something else. Good job you had your armor, huh? A wrong leg, sir, but not to worry. I'm naturally imposed by the chappy reasons. All that scar tissue, sir. You can strike matches on it. Jimmy Trope is in trouble, though. He's up a tree in Hyde Park. Oh, God. I'm starting to think the mailmen are actually cursed. Because they've been saying the place is cursed, but now I'm thinking they are. Moistman Lively strode up to Market Street, face set with grim purpose. The board is still up on Golem Trust, but they attracted another layer of graffiti. The pan door is burned and bubbled too. He opened the door and instinct made him duck. He felt the crossbow bolt zip between the wings of his hat. Dearheart lowered the bow. My God, it's you! I thought for a second sun appeared in the sky. He rose cautiously as she laid bow aside. We had a firebomb last night, she said by way of explanation, attempting to shoot him in the head. How many goals ever high right now, Miss Dearheart? Oh, about a dozen or so. Fine, I'll take them. Don't bother wrapping up. I want them down to the post office as soon as possible. What? Your normal expression of perpetual annoyance returned. Look, you can't just walk in and snack your fingers over a dozen people like this. They think they're property, said Moist. That's what you told me. They glared at one another, and she fumbled distractedly in a filing tray. I can let you employ 4 right now. That'd be Doors 1, Saul 20, Campbell 2, and Agamanan. Only he can talk at the moment to freeze out and help the urge yet. Helped? She shrugged. A lot of cultures golems thought tools shouldn't talk. They have no tongues. And the trust gives them extra clay, eh? She gave him a look. It's a bit more mystical than that, she solemnly. Well, dumb is okay as long as they're not stupid, he said, trying to look serious. Says Angermanad's got the name, right? Now a description? A lot of the old ones have. Tell me, what do you want them to do? Be postmen. Working in public? I don't think you can have secret postmen, said Moist, briefly seeing shadowy figures skulking from door to door. Anything wrong with that? Well, no, certainly not. It's just that people get nervous and set fire to the shop. I'll bring them down as soon as possible. You understand own golems have a day off every week? You did read the pamphlet, right? Time off, what do they need it for? Hammer doesn't get time off, does it? In order to be golems. Don't ask what they do. I think they just go and sit in the cellar somewhere, but it's a way to show they're not a hammer, Mr. Ludwig. The buried ones forget, and the free ones teach them, but don't worry, the rest of the time they won't even sleep. So, Mr. Pump has a day off coming? Of course, said Miss Dearheart, and Moist filed this under useful to know. Good, thank you, he said. Would you like to have dinner tonight? Moist normally had no trouble with words, but those stuck on his tongue. There's something pineapple prickly about Mr. Dearheart. Miss Dearheart, there's something about her special said, there's no possible way you can surprise me, I know all about you. Is there anything else? Only you're standing there with your mouth open. No, that's fine, mumbled Moist, thank you. She smiled and bits of them tingled. Well, off you go then, Miss Elizabeth, brighten up the world like a little sunbeam. That's so cute. Yeah, the bit rate's just all over the place today. I don't know what it is. 4 out of 5 postmen are what Mr. Rook called horse to combat, and were brewing tea in the mail stuffed cubbyhole that was laughingly called the restroom. Augie had been sent home after a bulldog went pried fries from his leg. Moist had been a big basket of fruit sent around. You couldn't go wrong with a basket of fruit. Well, it made an impression at least, and so did the bulldog, but some mail had been delivered. You have to admit that. You have to admit it was years and years late, but the post was moving. You could sense it in the air. The place didn't feel so much like a tomb. Now Moist retired to his office, where he was getting creative. Cup of tea, Mr. Lipwig. He looked over to see from his work to see a slightly strange face of Stanley. Oh, it looks fine now? That's awesome, which is really weird because it doesn't say it looks fine. It says it's at 488 kilobytes, but whatever, I'll take it. Let's see. Ba, 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 ba. Thank you, Stanley, said laying down his pen. And I see you nearly got all in the cup this time. Nicely done. What are you drawing, Mr. LeBeau? It's like the post office. Well done. It's going to be on a stamp, Stanley. Here, what do you think of the arrows? He passed them. Oh, you're a good drawer, Mr. Lipton. They look just like Lord Vanari. That's the penny stamp. Copied a likeness of a penny. City coat of arms on the 2-penny. Morcopia. Accidentally refreshing. It looks fine. Well, okay, whatever works, I guess. City coat of arms on the 2-penny, Morcopia on the 4 or 5-penny, Tower Art and a big $1 stamp. I'm thinking a 10-penny stamp too. They look very nice, all that detail, like little paintings. What are those tiny lines called? Cross-hatching makes them hard to forge. When the letter with the stamp on it comes to the post office, you take on this old rubber stamps all over the new stamps so they can't be used again. Yes, because they're like money, really, said Stanley cheerfully. Pardon, said T. Apple his lips, like money. The stamps would be like money, because a penny stamp is a penny when you think about it. Are you alright, Mr. Lipwood? Only you got all funny. What? Said Moist, staring at the wall with a strange faraway grin. Are you right, sir? What? Oh, yes, indeed. We need a bigger stamp, don't you think? $5, perhaps? I should think you could send a big letter away of 4x for that, Mr. Levy said cheerfully. We're thinking ahead then, said Moist. I mean, since we're designing the stamps and everything. But now Stanley was admiring Mr. Robinson's box. It was an old friend of Moist. He never used Mr. Robinson as an alias to get stored by some halfway honest merchant or politician, so there'd be somewhere else safe even if he had to leave town quickly. To a conman or fortress like what a set of lockpicks is to a burglar, but it was the contents of the box you could open people's brains. It was a work of art in its own right, all the little compartments lifted up and fanned out when you opened it. There were pen inks, but there were also little paints of pots and tints, stains and solvents, and carefully kept flat 36 different types of paper, some of them quite hard to obtain. Paper was important. Get the weight and the translucence wrong, and knowing that skill will save you. You can get away with bad penmanship much easier than you could with bad paper. In fact, rough penmanship often worked better than a week of industrious midnights getting every little thing right, because there's something in people's head that spotted some little detail that wasn't quite right, but at the same time, fill-in details and really suggested by a few careful strokes. Attitude, expectation, and presentation was everything. Just like me, he thought. The doors kicked open and knocked down and open in one movement. Yes, Snap Moist not looking up. I was busy designing stamps here, you know. There's a lady, Pangroat, with golems. Ah, now he missed Dearheart, said Moist, laying down a pen. Yes, sir, she said. Tell Mr. Sunshine to bring his postman, sir. You're going to use golems as postman, sir? Yes, why not? I gave him a severe look. You okay with Mr. Plum, don't you? Well, he's all right, sir. I mean, he keeps the place tidy. He's always very respectful. I speak as I find. People can move it all about golems, sir, while having glowing eyes and all, and the way they never stops. The lads might not take to him, sir, is all I'm saying. He stared at him. Golems are thorough, reliable, and by gods they took orders. He got another chance to be smiling at Miss Dearheart's. Think about golems, think about golems. Golems. He smiled. Even if they can prove they're real postmen. 10 minutes later, the fist of the golem called Angharmarad had smashed through a letterbox in several inches of splintering wood. Mail delivered, it announced, and went still. The eyes dulled. Moist turned to cluster of human postmen and gestured toward the impromptu postman's walk he set up in a big hall. Note the flattened roller skate, gentlemen. Note the heap of ground glass where the beer bottle was. And Mr. Angharmarad had deaded all of the food on his head, too, I'll point out. Yeah, but his eyes burned holes in it. None of us can help the way we're made, said Dora Dearheart primly. I gotta admit, did my heart go to see him punch through that door, said Senior Postman Bates. That'll teach him how to put him low and sharp. And no problem with dogs, I expect, said Jimmy Chirps. He'll never get his arse bitten out of his trousers. I think so. You all agree a good home is suitable to be a postman, said Moist. Suddenly, a twist of his husband shuffled across. Well, it's not us, you understand. People be funny about clay folk. Also, by taking jobs away from real people. Nothing against them, but they stopped because the golem had begun to speak again. Unlike Mr. Pump, it took him some time to get to speed. When his voice arrived, seemed to come from long ago and far away, like the sound of surf in a fossil shell. He said, "What is a postman?" "A messenger, Anghammerad," said Miss Deerheart. She noticed when he spoke to golems differently. There was tenderness in her voice. "Gentlemen," he said to Postman, "I know you feel—" "I was a messenger," said Anghammerad. His voice was not like Mr. Pump's, neither was his clay. It looked like a crude jigsaw puzzle of different clays from almost brick black through red to light gray. His eyes, with the first glow of those other golems, burned a deep ruby red. He looked older. He felt older. The chill of time radiated off of him. On one arm, just below the elbow, was a metal box on a corroded band that had stained the clay. "Running errands, huh?" said Gert nervously. "Most recently I delivered the decrees of King Het of Tut," said Amarand. "Never heard of any King Het. I expect that's because the lands of Tut slid under the sea 9,000 years ago," said the golem solemnly. "So it goes." "Blimey, you're 9,000 years old," said Gert. "No, I am 19,000 years old. I've been born in the fire of the priest of Uspa, and the third ning of the shaving of the goats." Those being years, I assume. "They gave me a voice I might carry messages of such things as the world made." "Never heard of them either," said Tropes. "Ursoba was destroyed by an explosion on Mount Shiptu. I spent 2 centuries on the mountain of palm ice before they eroded, whereupon I became messenger for the fishermen kings of Holy Ult. It could have been worse." "You must have seen lots of things, sir," said Stanley. The glowing eyes turned to him, lighting up his face. "Sea urchins. I have seen many sea urchins, and sea cucumbers, and the dead ships sailing. Once there was an anchor. All things pass." "Oh, he was the person under the sea from the prologue." "How long were you under the sea?" said Moise. "It was almost 9,000 years." "You mean you just sat there?" "I was not instructed to do otherwise. I heard the song of the whales above me. It was dark. Then there was a net, and rising, and light. These things happen." "Didn't you find it dull?" They were staring. "Dull," he said blankly, and turned to Miss Deerheart. "He has no idea what you mean," she said. "None of them have, not even the younger ones." "So I expect your king to deliver messages then," said Moise, far more jovially than he intended. The golem's head turned to Miss Deerheart again. "Keen?" She sighed. "It's another tough one, Mr. Moise. It's as bad as dull. Close on come is, you will satisfy the imperative to perform direct action." "Yes," said the golem. "The messages must be delivered. It is written on my chim." "That's the scroll in her head that gives him his instructions," said Miss Deerheart. "In Angharhad's case, it's a clay tablet. They didn't have paper in those days." "He used to deliver messages for kings?" "Many kings," said Anghammerad. "Many empires. Many gods. All gone. All things go." His voice got deeper as it clung from memory. "Neither deluge nor ice storm nor the black silence of nether hell shall stay these messengers from their sacred business. Do not ask us about saber-toothed tigers, tar pits, green things with teeth, or the goddess Chuzzle." "You had green things with teeth back then," said Tropes. "Greener, bigger, more teeth." "And the goddess Chuzzle? Do not ask." There's a thoughtful silence. Moise knew how to break it. "And you will decide if he's a postman," he said softly. The postman went into a brief huddle, and then Grote turned back to Moise. "He's a postman and a half, Mr. Moise. We never knew. The lads say—" "Well, it'll be an honor, sir, an honor to work with him. I mean, it's like history, sir. It's like—" "I always said the order goes back a long way, didn't I?" said Jimmy Trips, a glow of pride. "There was postmen all the way back in the dawn of time. 20 years ago, I remember it goes all the way back here. Our secret society's going to be green as something big with teeth." "Right, and no problem with his chums either, if they can take orders," said Grote generously. "Thank you, gentlemen," said Moise. "Now it remains, United Stanley held 2 bid tens of royal blue paint, is their uniform." By general agreement, Anghammerad was given a unique rank of extremely senior postman. It seemed fair. Give me a second. Just the emotion in their voices there just got me caught up for a second. Somehow my own reading brought tears to my eyes. Got too invested, I guess. Okay. Half an hour later, still tacky to the brush, each one accompanied by a human postman, the golems took to the streets. Moist watched heads turn. The afternoon sunlight glinted off the royal blue, and Stanley, God bless him, had found a small bit of gold paint too. Frankly, they looked impressive. They gleamed. You have to give people a show. Give them a show and you're halfway where you wanted to be. A voice behind him said, "The postman came down like a wolf on the fold, his course all gleaming in azure and gold." For just a moment, a flicker of time, he thought, I've been made, she knows. Somehow she knows. Then his brain took over. He turned Misty Heart. When I was a kid, I always thought that a cohort was a piece of armor, Misty Heart, she said, giving her a smile. I used to imagine troops staying up all night polishing them. Sweet, she said, lying to her. Look, I'll get you the rest of the gold as soon as possible. There ain't any trouble, of course. The watch will be on your side, though. There's a free goal in the watch, and I rather like him, though here it doesn't matter what you're made of when you join the watch, because Commander Vime said so that we'll see if you become solid copper through and through. Solid copper, that's a good one. He's the most cynical bastard walks on our sun. You think he's cynical. Yes, she said, blowing smoke, as you suspect that's practically a professional opinion, but thank you for hiring the boys. I'm just trying to understand what liking means, but they like to work, and Palm 19 seems to hold you in some regards. Thank you. I personally think you're a phony. Yes, I expect you do, said Moise. Ye gods, she was hard work. He met women he couldn't charm, but they've been foothills compared to the ice cards in his Mount Deerheart. It was an act, it had to be. It was a game, it had to be. What do you think of these, What do your friends call you, Miss Deerheart? And his head Moise said to himself, I don't know. Just someone said, I don't know. What is this? You carry your etchings with you to save time? So this was a game, and he was invited to play. They'll be copper engraved, I hope, he said meekly. They're my designs for the new stamps. He explained about the stamps idea, and she was looking at the pages. Good one of Venonari. They say he dyes his hair, you know. What's this one? Oh, the Tower of Art. How like a man. $1, eh? Yeah, they're quite good when we use them. Actually, it's still planning to slip along the team and schools when the lads are out now and discuss engraving. Good, they're a decent firm. Sluice 23's turning machinery for them. They keep him clean and don't stick notices on him. I'll go and check all the higher golems. I go and check them every week. The frees are very insistent. To make sure you're not mistreated, to make sure you're not forgotten. He makes me into business to see if a golem working somewhere on the premises. Not the Grand Trunk, though. I won't let them work there. There's an edge to her statement. Why not? There's some shit not even a golem should work on, she said in the same still tone. They are moral creatures. Damn. Okay, thought Moise. Bit of a sore point there, then. His mouth said, would you like to have dinner tonight? For just a second she was surprised, though I didn't have as much as him. Their natural cynicism reflated. I like to have dinner every night. With you? No, I have things to do, but thank you for asking. No problem, said Moise, slightly relieved. She looked around the echoing hall. Doesn't this place give you a creep? You could do something with some floral wash paper and a firebomb. It's going to be sorted out some more quickly, but let's get things moving as soon as possible. Show her business. They watched Stanley and Grote, who patiently sorted the edges of the pile, prospectors in the foothills of Postal Mountain. They were dwarfed by the white hillocks. It'll take you forever to deliver them, you know. Yes, I know, said Moise. But that's the thing about golems, said Adamant, your heart staying doorway, but like Carface oddly. They're not frightened of forever. They're not frightened of anything. That's kind of spooky. But to be fair, Moise ran to that earlier when that golem basically tracked him down. He was trying to run off. Basically, he said he'd follow him anywhere, even if it meant having to travel underwater. For miles. For years, even if it was required. So, yeah, that's golems for you. Chapter 7. Tomb of Words. The Invention of the Whole. Mr. Litwood speaks out. The Wizard in the Jar. A discussion of Lord Vanari's backside. A promise to deliver. Mr. Hobson's Boris. Give me just 1 second. In his ancient office, smelling of ink and oil, Mr. Spools was impressed by a strange young man in a golden suit and winged hat. You certainly know your papers, Mr. Litwick, he says, Moise stumbled through the samples. It's a pleasure to meet a customer who does. Always use the right paper for a job, that's what I say. It's the important thing is make stamps hard to forge, said Moise, even for the samples. On the other hand, it mustn't cost anything like a penny to produce a penny stamp. Watermarks are a friend there, Mr. Litwick. Not impossible to fake, though, Moise added, and said, or so I've been told. Oh, yes, we know all the tricks, Mr. Litwick. Don't you worry about that. We're up to scratch, oh, yes. Chemical voids, thalamic shadows, timed inks, everything. We do paper and engraving and printing for some of the leading figures of the city, though of course I'm not at liberty to tell you who they are. He sat back in his worn chair and scribbled in a notebook for a moment. Well, we could do you 20,000 of the penny stamps, uncoded stock, gummed at $2 a thousand plus setup, 10 pence less for ungummed. You'll have to find someone to cut them, of course. What, couldn't you do that with some sort of machine? No, wouldn't work, not with things as small as this. Sorry, Mr. Litwick. He pulled a scrap of brown paper out of his pocket and held it up. Do you recognize this, Mr. Spools? What, is that a pen paper you? Ha, that takes me back to my old collection. Yeah, I always thought it was worth a bob or two if only. Watch this, Mr. Spools. He gripped the paper carefully. Stanley was almost painfully precise in placing his pins. A man with a micrometer couldn't have done better. Gently, the paper tore down a line of holes. Looked at Mr. Spools raised eyebrows. It's all about hole, he said. Ain't nothing it ain't got hole. 3 hours passed. 4 men were sent for. Serious men in overalls turned things like on lasts. Lettermen soldered things together, tried to mount change this, re-aimed that, dismounted a small hand press and built it a different way. Moist large on the periphery of all this, clearly bored, while the serious men filled, measured things, rebuilt things, tinkered, lowered things, raised things, and eventually watched by most of his schools, try out the converted press officially. Chonk. It felt to Moist that everyone was holding their breaths while the windows are bending inwards. He reached down, eased the paper, a sheet of little perforated squares off the board, and lifted it up. He tore off one stamp. The windows buckled outwards, and people breathed again. There wasn't a cheer. These weren't men to cheer and whoop at a job well done. Instead, they lit their pipes and nodded to each other. Well, I think one's as good as the other. Mr. Spools and Moist and Von Liquid shook their hands over the perforated paper. The patent is yours, Mr. Spools, said Moist. You're very kind, Mr. Ludwig, very kind indeed. Oh, and here's a little souvenir. And the prince bustled out a sheet of paper, astonished they were already covered in stamps, ungummed, unperforated, but perfect miniature copies of his drawing for the 1-penny stamp. Iconodiablic engraving, Mr. Lipwig, he said, seeing his face. No one can say we're behind the times. Of course, there'll be a few little flaws this time around, but earlier this week I promise we'll. I want penny and 2-penny ones tomorrow, please, Mr. Spools, please. I don't need perfect. I want quick. My word, you're quick off the mark, Mr. Ludwig. Always move fast, Mr. Spools. You never know who's catching up. Yes, a good motto, Mr. Ludwig. Nice one, he said, grinning uncertainly. And I want the 5 pennies and $1 a day after, please. You'll scorch your boots, Mr. Moist. Gotta move, Mr. Spools. Gotta fly. He hurried back to the post office as fast as decently possible, feeling slightly ashamed. He liked continuing schools. He liked the kind of business you can actually speak to a man whose name was over the door. And it probably wasn't run by crooks. And like the big, solid, and flappable workman, recognized him in all the things he knew he lacked, like steadfastness, solidarity, and honesty. You couldn't lie to a laugh or fool a hammer. They were good people and quite unlike him. One way in which they were unlike him is that none of them right now probably had wads of stolen notepaper stuffed in their jackets. He really shouldn't have done it. He really shouldn't. It's just that Mr. Spools, a kind and enthusiastic man, the desk is covered in examples of his wonderful work, and the perforation press being made people have been bustling around and not really paying attention. He tidied up. He couldn't help himself. He was a crook. What did Vetinari expect? The postman arriving back as he walked to the building. Mr. was waiting for him with a worried smile. How's it going, Postal Inspector? He said cheerfully. Pretty well, sir. There's the good news. People have been giving us letters to post, sir. Not many. It's a bit jokey. We got a penny off of them every time. That's 7 pence, sir. He had proffering the coins. Oh boy, we'll eat tonight, said Moist, taking the coins on pocketing the letters. Sorry, sir. Oh, nothing. Well done. You said there was good news. Any other sort, perhaps? Oh, but some people didn't like getting their mail, sir. And he's got posted for wrong doors. Oh, no, sir. But old letters ain't always welcome. Not when they've, as it might be a will. A will isn't last will and testament, sir. As it turns out, the wrong daughter got Mum's jewelry 20 years ago, as it were. Oh, dear, said Moist. The watch has called in, sir. That's what they call in the papers a rumpus in Weaver Street, sir. There's a lady waiting for you in the office, sir. Oh, God, it's not one of the daughters. Oh, no, sir. She's a writing lady from the Times. You can't trust them, sir. They do a very reasonable cross, react conspiratorially. What does she want me for? I couldn't say, sir. I expect that you're the postmaster. Go and make her tea or something, will you? Said patting his jacket. I'll just go and pull myself together. Personally, I wouldn't trust Mr. Groat's tea given what he uses as a lozenge. But anyway, Mr. Crumb was standing by the door, fiery eyes banked in the stance of a golem with no current task other than to exist, and the woman was standing by the door by Moist's desk. Moist sized her up, attractive, but dressing apparently to downplay the fact while artfully enhancing it. Bustles were back in fashion to save for inexplicable reason, but her only concession was the bum roll, which achieved a certain perkiness in the rear without need to wear 27 pounds of dangerously spring-loaded underwear. Now I'm just picturing someone wearing underwear makes you rocket jump. But anyway, she was blonde but wore hair in a bagnet. Under a careful touch was a small and quietly fashionable hat perched on top for no particular purpose. A shoulder bag was by her chair, a notebook at her knee, and she wore a wedding ring. Mr. Lipwick, she said brightly, I'm Miss Cripslock from the Times. Okay, wedding ring, but nevertheless Miss, thought Moist. Handle care, probably has views with a V. Do not attempt to kiss hand. How can I assist the Times? He said, sitting down, giving her a non-condescending smile. Do you intend to deliver all the backlog of mail, Mr. Ludwig? If at all possible, yes. Why? It's my job. Rain, snow, gloom of night, just as it says over the door. Have you heard about the fracas in Weaver Street? I heard it was a rumpus. I'm afraid it got worse. There was a house on fire when I left. Doesn't that worry you? Her pencil suddenly poised. His face made an expression as he thought curiously. Yes, it does, of course. People shouldn't set fire to houses, but I also know Mr. Parker of Mertisville was marrying his boyhood sweetheart on Saturday. Did you know that? Ah, that's clever. He's giving a neutral answer that doesn't put him to blame, and he's delivering her some new news to distract her with. Very smart. Mrs. Crislock had, but she scribbled industriously told by the greengrocer's letter. That's very interesting. I'll go see him immediately. So you're saying that delivering the old mail is a good thing. Delivering the mail is the only thing, and he hesitated again, just as hearing was a whispering. Is there a problem? What? No. What was I? Oh, yes, it's the right thing. History is not to be denied, Miss Crislock, and we are a communicating species, Miss Crislock. He's raised his voice to drown to whispering. The mail will get through. It must be delivered. You needn't shout, Mr. Lipwig, she said, leaning backwards. He tried to get a grip in a whispering dialogue. I'm sorry. Yes, I intend to deliver all the mail. He cleared his throat. If people move, we'll try and find them. If they die, we'll deliver a sentence. The post will be delivered. We're tasked to deliver it, deliver it we will. What else shall we do with it? Burn it? Throw it in a river? Open to decide if it's important? No, they've been entrusted to our care. Delivery is the only way. The whispering died away now, and he went on. Besides, we need the space. The post office being reborn. He pulled out a sheet of stamps. With these. She peered at them, puzzled. Little pictures of Lord Vetinari? Stamps, Miss Crivlock. One of them stuck on a letter will ensure delivery anywhere in the city. These are early sheets, but tomorrow we'll be selling them gummed and perforated for ease of use. I intend to make it easy to use the post. Obviously, still finding our fee, but I assume we'll have to be capable of delivering a letter to anyone, anywhere in the world. It was a stupid thing to say, but his tongue had taken over. Aren't you being rather ambitious, Mr. Lipwig? I'm sorry, I don't know any other way to be. I was thinking that we do have the clacks now. The clacks? He said. I dare say they're wonderfully wish to know the pawn market figures from Gwenna, but you can write But can you write some SWALK on the clacks? Can you seal it with a loving kiss? Can you cry tears on the clacks? Can you smell it? Can you enclose a pressed flower? A letter is more than just a message, and a clack is so expensive in any case that the average man street can just about afford at the time of crisis. Granddad's dead funeral twos. Which means Tuesday, I think. A day's wait to send a message as warm and human as a thrown knife, but a letter is real. He stopped. Miss Kristoff was scribbling like mad and is always worried to see a journalist take a sudden interest in what you were saying, especially as I suspect it's a load of pigeon guano. And it gets worse when they're smiling. People complain that class are becoming expensive, slow, and unreliable. How do you feel about that? All I can say is today we took on a postman who's 18,000 years old. He doesn't break down very easily. Oh yes, Golem, some people say, oh, what's your first name, Miss Crislock? For a moment she colored, and then she said, it's Satiriska. Thank you, I'm moist. Please, don't laugh, but the golems, you're laughing, aren't you? It's just a cough, honestly, said the reporter, raising a hand to her throat and coughing unconvincingly. Sorry, it sounded a bit like a laugh. Now, Satiriska, I need postmen, counterclerks, sorters. I need a lot of people. The mail will move. I need people to help me move it. Any kind of people. Thanks, Stanley. The boy had come with two mismatched mugs of tea. One appealing little kitten that set their erratic collisions in a washing bowl and scratches with the impression of a creature in the final stages of rabies. The other once hilariously informed the world of clinical insanity wasn't necessary for employment, but most of the words are faded, leaving, you don't have to be mad. It's a word here, but it helps. He put down with care on Moist's desk. Stanley did everything carefully. Thank you, Moist repeated. You can go, Stanley. Help with the sorting, eh? There's a vampire in the hall, Mr. Ludwig. That'll be Otto, says Hatcheriska quickly. You don't have a thing about vampires, do you? Hey, if he's got a pair of hands and knows how to walk, I'll give him a job. He's already got one, Satiriska, laughing. He's our chief iconographer. He's taking pictures of your men at work. We'd very much like to have one of you for the front page. What? No, please, no. He's very good. Yes, but he began to picture his sense went on, but I don't think there's even a town for looking like half the men you see in the street would survive a picture. When she came out, it's, I don't want to be singled out from all these hard-working men and golems who are putting the post office back on its feet. After all, there's no me and team, eh? Actually, there is, says Satiriska. And she is right. I was about to mention that, because if you rearrange the letters, you do indeed get me. Besides, you're the one wearing a winged hat and a golden suit. Come on, Mr. Ludwig. All right. I really didn't want to do this, but it's against my religion. Going to this place against my religion, said Moist, who had time to think. We're forbidden to have any images made of us. It removes part of the soul, you know. And you believe that? Really? No, of course not. Not as such. But if you can't treat religion as sort of a buffet, you can't treat religion as sort of a buffet, can you? I mean, you can't say, yes, please, I like some celestial paradise helping a divine plan, but go easy on the kneeling and know the provision of images. They give me wind. It's a tale to ode or nothing, of course. Otherwise, well, it gets silly. She looked at him with her head from to one side. You work for his lordship, don't you? Well, of course, this is an official job. And I expect you'll tell me your previous job was as a clerk, nothing special. That's right. All your name probably is Moist Von Lippin. I don't believe anyone could choose that as an assumed name. Thank you very much. It sounds to me as though you're issuing a challenge, Mr. Ludwig. There's all sorts of problems with the class right now. There's been a big stink about people who have been sacking and how ones that are left being worked to death and up you pop full of ideas. I'm serious, Satiriska. Look, people are giving us new letters to post. People who are talking fandom. See, there's one to go to Dog Sisters, another one to Nap Hill, one for Blind Io. He's a god, said the woman. That could be a problem. No, said Moist briskly, pointing the letters back. We'll deliver to the gods themselves. There's 3 temples in the city. That'll be easy. And you forgot about the pictures. Hooray. A man of resource, I see. Tell me, Mr. Moist, do you know much about the history of this place? Not too much. I'd certainly like to find out when the chandeliers went to. You haven't spoken to Professor Pellick? Who's he? Mate. He's in the university. He wrote a whole chapter in place in his book, something to do with big masses of writing and thinking of themselves. I suppose you do know people who died. Oh, yes. He said the place drove them mad somehow. Well, actually, we said it, but then he said it was a lot more complicated. I have to hand it to you, Miss Lowe, taking on a job that's killed 4 men. It takes a special kind of man. Yes, thought Moist, an ignorant one. You haven't noticed anything strange? Well, I think my body traveled in time while my feet didn't, but I'm not sure how much of it was hallucination. I was really killed in the mail slide and the letters keep talking to me. Or the words he didn't say, because it's the kind of thing you didn't say on an open notebook. What he did say was, oh no, it's a fine building, and I fully intend to bring it back to its former glory. Good, good. How old are you, Mr. Moist? 26. Is that important? We like to be thorough. She gave him a sweet smile. Besides, it's important if we write your obituary. Alright, that's a good one. The sad thing is that she means it, of course. I don't need that laugh. I think it cleared my throat somehow. Moist marched through the hall with Groat sidling after him. He pulled the new letter out of his pocket and thrust them into Groat's crabby hands. Get these delivered. Any address to the god goes to their temple. Any strange ones put on my desk. We just picked up another 15, sir. People think it's funny. Got the money? Oh, yes, sir. But we're the ones who's laughing, said Moist firmly. I won't be long. I'll have to see the wizard. Okay, by law and tradition, the great library of Unseen University is open to the public, although they aren't allowed as far as the magical shelves. They don't realize this, however, since the rules of time and space are twisted inside a library, so hundreds of miles of shelving needs to be concealed inside a space roughly a thickness of paint. Yeah, the university is weird. People flock in nonetheless in search of answers, only questions only a librarian is considered able to answer, such as, is this laundry? How do you spell serendipitous on a regular basis? Do you have a book I remember reading once that had a red cover and it turned out they were twins? And strictly speaking, the library will have it somewhere. Somewhere it has every book ever written, that ever will be written, and notably every book that it's possible to write. They're not on the public shelves, lest untrained handling cause the collapse of everything that's possible to imagine. Like everything else, everyone else, Moist stared up at the dome. Everyone did. They always wonder why a library is technically infinite is covered by a dome a few hundred feet across, and they're allowed to go on wondering. Below the dome, staring down from the niches, were statues of the virtues: patience, chastity, silence, charity, hope, tubso, bissamy, and fortitude. He couldn't resist removing his hat and gave it a little salute to Hope, who he owed very much. And as he wondered why a statue was carrying, a bissamy was carrying a kettle and like a bunch of parsnips, he collided with someone who grabbed him by an arm and hurried him over the floor. 1 second. Jeez. Guess my throat wasn't. Okay. Don't say a word, but you're looking for a book, yes? Well, actually, you seem to be in the clutches of a wizard. You're not sure what book, he said exactly. It's a job of a librarian to find the right book for the right person. You just sit there and proceed. Thank you. Please introduce the straps. It does not take long. It's practically painless. Practically, he was pushed firmly into a large, complex stool chair. His captor, or helper, or whatever he might turn out to be, gave him a reassuring smile. Other figures helped strap him in the chair, which, while basically an old horseshoe-shaped one with a leather seat, was surrounded by stuff. Some of it clearly magical, being of the stars and skulls variety, but what about the jar of pickles, a pair of tongs, and a live mouse in a cage made of... Hand gripped it, and not all of it coincidentally, as did a pair of padded paddles which closed over his ears. Just for all sound, the silence he heard, he may experience a taste of eggs and a sensation of being slapped in the face by some sort of fish. It is perfectly... Then the blabber happened. It was a traditional magic turn, though he didn't know this. There was a moment in which everything, even things that couldn't be stretched, felt stretched, and then there was a moment when suddenly everything went back to not being stretched, known for as the moment of blabber. When he opened his eyes again, the chair was facing the other way. There were no signs of pickles, thongs, or mouse, but in their place, the bucket of clockwork pastry lobsters and a box set of novelty glass eyes. He gulped and muttered, haddock. Really, most people say cod. No account for taste, I suppose. Hands unbuckled him and helped to his feet. These hands belonged to a orangutan, but he didn't pass comments. This is the University of Wizards, after all. The man who shoved him is now staying by my desk saying by some wizardly device. Any more now, any second. Ah. A bundle of what appeared to be hose pipes led from a desk into the wall. Once it's certain that they bulged for a moment like a snake eating in a hurry. The machine stuttered and a piece of paper dropped out of a slot. Ah, here we are. Yes, the book reactor was History at Hats by F.G. Smallfinger, am I right? No, not her book, in fact. Are you sure? We have lots. There are two strange things about this wizard. One was, well... Grandfather Lipwick had always said that if you could tell an Aussie man by the size of his ears, and this is clearly a very honest wizard. The arrow side of the beard he was wearing was clearly false. I'm looking for a wizard named Pelik. The beard parts slightly to reveal a wide smile. I knew the machine would work, he said. You are, in fact, looking for me. That's what I figured. Oh, there we go. Throat's feeling better, and I wasn't just choking on my words, so to speak. I was choking because the water went down the wrong pipe, as they say. But it's not in my lungs now, so I'm good. Not entirely recovered, granted, but I'm good. The sign on the opposite door said Ladislav Pelik, a DM Phil, pre-humorous, professor of morbid bibliomancy. I suppose when necromancy's a thing, pre-humorous needs to be a word. Yeah, but, you know, we just carry on, and I'm certainly not going to stop because of that. I still got an hour left. Okay. Like I think I said earlier, I'm going to keep this stream a bit shorter at 2 hours instead of 3 to save my voice, though it seems like it's got hurt by another thing instead, but hey, it's whatever. Okay. And the sign of... Oh, yeah, I read that. And inside there was a hook on which the wizard hung his beard. It was a wizard study, so of course I had a skull and a candle on and a stuffed crocodile hanging from the ceiling. No one, least of all wizards, knew this, but you have to have them. There's also a room full of books and made of books. Ooh. There's no actual furniture, that is to say the desks and chairs are shaped out of books, as though many of them are frequently referred to because they lay open with other books used as bookmarks. I love this. I just love this. No, I'm not hurting right now. It was hurting then, but I'm fine now. Just gonna be a little more grunty, that's all. You wanna know what the post office I expect? He's still in the chair, carefully put together from volumes 1 to 41 synonyms for the word plimsoll. Yes, please. Voices, strange events? Yes. How do I put this? Words have a power, you understand? It's the nature of the universe. The library itself distorts time and space on a grand scale. When the post office started accumulating letters, it was storing words. In fact, what was being created was known as a Gavesia, a tomb of living words. Are you of a literary persuasion, Mr. Ludwig? Not as such. Books are a closed book to moist. Would you burn a book? An old book by, say, Barrett on a spineless found a box of rubbish? Well, probably not. Why not? Would the thought make you uncomfortable? I suppose books are... Well, you don't do that. Why do you wear a false beard? I thought wizards have real ones. It's not compulsory, but when we go outside, they expect beards. It's like having stars in your row. Aside, they're far too hot in the summer. Beards, yes, all words have some power. We feel it instinctively. Some, like spells and the true names of gods, have a great deal. They must be treated with respect. And the clash of the mountain with many caves, and those caves are entombed more than 100 old books, mostly religious, each one in a white linen shroud. That's perhaps an extreme approach, but intelligent people always know that some words at least should be disposed of with care and respect. Not just shoved in sacks in the attic. Hold on. A golem called the post office a tomb of unheard words. I'm not surprised. The old Glenavas and libraries used to employ golems because the only words that had power and influence them were the ones in their heads. Well, words are important, and when there's a critical mass, they change the nature of the universe. Did you see what seemed to be hallucination? Yes, I was back in time, but also in the present. Yes, that's quite common. Enough words can affect time and space. And they spoke to me. I told the watch the letters wanted to be delivered. Until the letter is read, it's not complete. They will try anything to be delivered, but they don't think, as you understand. They're not clever. They just reach out to any mind. I see you've already been turned into an avatar. I can't fly. Avatar, the living likeness of a god. The hat with wings, the golden suit. No, those happened by accident. Are you sure? The room went quiet. Well, I was sure until now. They're not trying to hurt anyone, Mr. Wick. They just want deliverance. We'll never be able to deliver them all. It'll take years. The mere fact that you're living any will help, I'm sure. He says, like a doctor told me not to worry. Disease is only fatal in 87% of cases. Is there anything else to help you with? He stood up to indicate a wizard's time is valuable. Well, I'd like to know where the chandeliers, and it'd be nice to get them back symbolic. Well, I can't help you there, but I'm sure Professor Goitre can. He's the posthumous professor of morbid bibliomancy. We could drop in and see him on the way out. He's in the wizard's pantry. Why is he posthumous? He asked as he stepped out. He's dead. I was hoping it'd be a little more metaphorical on that. Oh, don't worry. He's decided to take early death. It's a very good package. Oh, uh, mm, mm. Okay, one moment. Okay. Oh, sudden voice. The important time is to spot the right moment to run, but they got there for a maze of dark passages is not a place we want to get lost in. Something might find you. They stopped outside a door, from which came a muffled sound of voice and the occasional clink of glassware. They saw as soon as pressure open door was hard to see where it could have come from. There was indeed a pantry, empty people. Its wall was lined with shelves, and the shelves full of little jars. There was a wizard in each one. Now would be the right time to run, his hindbrain thought. Peleg reached for a jar and screwed the lid and rummaged around for the tiny wizard. Oh, this isn't him, he said, seeing most expression. How do you put these little knitted wizard dolls under a minded kitchen stand? The jar should be used for anything else. There's an incident with some peanut butter, I believe. I'll take it out so it doesn't sound muffled. Where's the professor, in fact? Oh, in the jar for a certain value of N. It's very hard to explain to a layman. He's only been dead for a given value of dead. Exactly, and he can come back at a week's notice. A lot of older wizards are opting out for it right now. Very refreshing, they say, like a sabbatical, only longer. Where do they go? No one's sure, but you hear the sounds of cutlery, he said and raised the jar to his mouth. Excuse me, I'm Professor Goitre. Can you by any chance recall having the chandeliers in the post office? He's expecting a tiny little voice to reply, but a sprightly elderly voice a few inches away from his said, What? Oh, yes indeed. One ended up in the opera house there was acquired by the Assassin's Guild. Here comes the pudding trolley. Goodbye. Their afterlife sounds fun. Thank you, Professor. All is well here. Fat lot I care. And be off, please. We're eating. There you have it, then said Peleg, putting the wizard all back in. The opera house and the Assassin's Guild. Quite hard to get them back, I fancy. Yeah, I'll have to put that off for a day or two, said Moist, stepping out of the store. Dangerous people to tangle with. The Opera House? Well, I wouldn't be surprised. The Assassin's Guild's more obvious. Indeed, said the suppressor, preparing the door, and would signal for the buzz of conversation to start up again. I understand some of Sopranos can kick you like a mule. Moist dreamed of bottled wizards all shouting his name. And the best of traditions of waking from a nightmare, the voices gradually became one, was trying to be the voice of Mr. Pump, who was shaking him. Some of them covered in jam, he shouted and focused. What? Mr. Lipwig, you have an appointment with Lord Vetinari. This snuck in sounded worse than the wizards in jars. I don't have an appointment. Do I? He says you do, Mr. Lipwig, therefore you do. We leave by the coachyard. There is a big crowd outside the front doors. He stopped doing his trousers halfway on. Are they angry? Any carrying buckets of tar? Feathers of any kind? I do not know, but your instructions. I'm carrying them out. I advise you to do the same. Yeah. What time is this, for heaven's sakes? 6:45. That's still night time. Doesn't a man ever sleep? What's more I get dried on a nice warm pile of letters? To be fair, I don't know what the climate is there, so it is possible halfway to 7 is indeed still nighttime. I know around here, 5 to 6 is definitely still pretty dark. Oh wait, 6:45. That'd be 6:25. Yeah, that'd be pretty dark. Good grief, the water just doesn't come out. The clock in Lord Vetinari's Anna room didn't tick right. Sometimes it was just a fraction late, sometimes early. Occasionally one or the other didn't happen at all. This one really noticeable he'd been there for 5 minutes, upon which time small but significant parts of your brain were going crazy. He wasn't good at early mornings anyway. One of the advantages of life of crime, you didn't have to get up till other people got the streets aired. I think I got almost out of it on my throat now. How would you like some coffee, postmaster? Oh wait, the clerk drummed out and glided in on hush feet so sounds they came with a shock. He was one of the most silent people Moist had ever encountered. Would you like some coffee, postmaster? Quietly. Am I in trouble, Mr. Grumnot? I wouldn't care to say, sir. Have you read the Times this morning? The paper? Oh, no, I... His mind went back over yesterday's interview. He didn't say anything wrong, had he? It was all good positive stuff, right? Ben already wanted people to use the Post, didn't he? We ought to give you copies straight out of the press. I'll fetch you one. He turned and moistened the photo, took in the front page in one moment of agony, where he sensed put his hand over his eyes and went, "Oh, gods. Did you notice the cartoon Postmaster drawn on instantly? I thought it was quite droll." Moist Mercenary glanced at a terrible page. Present and conscious self-defense, his gaze skimmed over the cartoon, which showed two ragged street urchins. One was holding a strip of penny stamps, so the text below read, "First urchin, having acquired newly minted stampings. Hey, you seen Lord Vanar's backside?" Second one, "Nah, I wouldn't look it for a penny either." His face went waxen. "He's seen this." "Oh, yes, sir." He stood quickly. "It's still early. Mr. Trooper's probably still on duty. If I run, he can probably fit me in. I'll go right away. That'll be okay. I'll cut the paperwork. I don't want to be a burden to anyone. I'll even... Now, Mr. Postmaster," said Drummond, pushing back in chair, "don't distress yourself unduly. In my experience, his lordship is a complex man. It is not wise to anticipate his reactions." "You mean, you think I'm going to live?" He screwed up his face and thought, stared at the ceiling for a moment. "Yes, I think you might." "You mean in a fresh air, with everything attached?" "Quite probably, sir. You may go in now, sir." I love that. Moist tiptoed into Patrician's office. Only Lord Vanar's hands are visible on either side of the Times. He read the headlines in dull horror. "We won't break down, Postmaster Valance. Amazing attack on Clacks. Pledges will deliver anywhere. Use remarkable new stamps." That was the main story. Along the smaller story, nevertheless drew the eye. The headline was "Grand Turk down again. Continent cut off." Oh, shit. At the bottom, in a heavier typeface amid the show would be lighthearted. Under a headline, "History Cannot Be Denied." There were dozens of stories about things that happened when the ancient posts turned up. There were rumpus that turned to fracas, Mr. Parker was right to be, and others too. The hearts that changed unremarkable lives in small ways, like cutting a window in history seeing what might have been. There was the entirety of the front page for a story about the clack hunting for the watch hunting for a mystery killer who mulled some banker to death in his house. They're baffled, it said. It sure moist up a little if the infamous werewolf officer could sniff out a bloody murder. Maybe they wouldn't find Moist when the time came. A brain could surely beat a nose. Lord Vanar seemed oblivious to Moist's presence, and he wondered what effect a polite cough would have. At which point, the newspaper rustled. "It says here in the letters column," said the voice producer, "the phrase 'stick it up your jumper' is based on an ancient amphibian saying that's at least 2,000 years old, thus clearly predating jumpers, but not, presumably, the act of sticking." He lowered the paper and looked at Moist over the top of it. "I don't know if you haven't been following this interesting little etymological debate." No, sir. You can remember I spent the last 6 weeks in a condemned cell." This all should have been our paper. Steeple's fingers looked at Moist over the top of him. "Ah, yes, so you did, Mr. Lipwig." Well. Look, I am really certain. Anywhere in the world, even to the gods, our postman won't break down so easily. History not to be denied. Very impressive, Mr. Lipwig. You made quite a splash, smiling as the fish said to the man with a lead weight tied to his feet. "I didn't exactly say..." "In my experience, most crucial tend to write down exactly what one says. It's a terrible thing when journalists do that. It spoils the fun. One instinctively feels cheating somehow. And I gather you're selling promissory notes, too." "What?" "The stamps, Mr. Boyce. A promise to carry a penny's worth of mail. Promise must be kept. Do come and look at this." He even walked across the window where he beckoned. "Do come, Mr. Lipwig." Philly might be hurled down on the cobbles. He nevertheless did so. Sorry about all the grunting. It's just the water forcing itself back up. So apparently, Lord Vanar's windows don't have glass on them. So that's interesting to know. I see those big clacks towers over by the top. Not much activity in the Grand Turk this morning. Problems on the tower out in the plains, I gather. Nothing is settling to slow that and beyond. But now, if you look down. It took Moist a moment to understand seeing it. There's a quay outside the post office. "Yes, Mr. Lipwig," said darkly. For stamps is advertising. For citizens have an instinct where you might say, joining in the fun. Go to it, Mr. Lipwig. I'm sure you're full of ideas. Don't let me detain you. He turned to his desk page of the paper. It's right down the front page. He can't have not seen it. About the other thing," he said, staring at the cartoon. "What other thing would there be?" he said. "There's one sense. Nothing really. I'll be off then." "Indeed you will, Postmaster. The mail must go through, must it not?" He listened to distant door shut and went through and stood by the window and saw a golden figure hurry across the courtyard. Mr. Drumknot came and tidied up the out tray. "Well done, sir." "Thank you, Drumknot." "I see Mr. Horsefly has passed away, sir." "So I understand, Drumknot." "Oh, that's interesting, because, yeah, that's right, he had the assassin sent after him." There's a stir in the crowd as Moist crossed the street. There's unmistakable belief he's Or at least saw Mr. Spool saying one of the serious men from his pantry. He ordered of them. I have several thousand in both the items he whispered, pulling out a package under his coat. Pennies and 2 pennies. They're not the best we could do, but I thought you might want them. We heard the class were down again. Your lifesaver, Mr. Spools, if you just take them inside. By the way, how much was a collapse, Mr. Slowlad? Even a very short mess would be 30 pence, I think. Thank you, said Moist, standing up and cupping his hands. Ladies and gentlemen, he shouted, the post office will be open for 5 minutes for the sale of penny and 2 penny stamps. In addition, we'll be taking mail to Stowe Lads. First express delivery leaves on the hour, ladies and gentlemen, to arrive this morning. The cost will be 10 pence per standard envelope. I repeat, 10 pence. The mail, ladies and gentlemen, no substitutes. Thank you. There was a stir in the crowd, and some people hurried away. By the way, if my voice sounded weird for a second there, it was because I was cupping my hands like he was doing. Moist led Mr. Spools in the building, politely closing the door in the face of the crowd. He was a tinkler, thought the game was afoot. The last man moments like this, he decided, with his heart singing, he erupted orders. Stanley. Yes, Mr. Lipwick, said the boy beside him. Run on to Hobson's livery stable and ask for the fastest horse they got. Tell him I want a good fast horse, or I sling with a bit of fuzz in its blood. Fizz in its blood. Not some figure-old screw, and I know the difference. I want to hear in less than half an hour. Off you go. Mr. Grote? Yes, sir. Rig up some kind of table for a counter, will you? In 5 minutes we set mail and open stamps. Sell stamps. I tell you to mail a slow out while the clacks are down. You're acting postmaster while I'm gone. Mr. Spools, I'm right here. You don't have to shout. Sorry, Spools. More left stamps, you please. I'll need some to take with me in case there's mail to come back. Can you do that? And I'll need the 5s and dollar stamps soon. Are you right, Mr. Grote? The old man was swaying and was listening senselessly. Mr. Grote, acting postmaster, he mumbled. That's right, Mr. Grote. No Grote has ever been acting postmaster. Suddenly dropped his knees and got moist around his legs. Oh, thank you, sir. I won't let you down, Mr. Ludwig. You can rely on me, sir. Neither sleet, rain, nor snow, nor glom of... Yes, thank you, acting postmaster. Thank you, that's enough. Please get up, Mr. Grote. Mr. Grote, please. Can I wear the winged hat while you're gone? This means such a lot. I'm sure it would, but not today. The hat flies as Stowe last. He stood. Would it really be you to take some mail, sir? Who else? Golems can't move fast enough. Stanley, the rest of you are old, rich in years. He rubbed his hands together. No argument, acting postmaster Grote. Now, let's sell some stamps. The doors are open, the crowd flocked in. Ben already been right. If there's any action, the people selecting the court would like to be part of it. Penny stamps flow over the makeshift counter. After all, the reasoning went, for a penny you got something worth a penny. Even as a joke is as safe as buying money. And the envelopes came the other way. People were actually writing letters in the post office. He made a mental note, envelopes of the stamps already on, and a sheet with a folded paper inside them. Instant letter kit, just add ink. That was an important rule of any game. Always make it easy for people to give you money. To his surprise, though, he realized it shouldn't have been. Drum not elbowed his way from the crowd with a small but heavy package sealed with a wheel wax seal bearing a city crest and a V. It was addressed to the mayor of Slow Lad. Government business, he announced pointedly as he handed over. Do you want to buy these stamps for it? What do you think, Postmaster? I think government business travels free, said Moist. Thank you, Mr. Lilly. The Lord likes a fast learner. Indeed, very fast. They are meant for Slow Lad to get stamped. There are a lot of people with friends or business there. Always look around. Are people scribbling everywhere, even holding the newspaper up against the walls? Stamps and penny and 2 penny were shifting fast. On the other end of the hall, the golems were storing in endless mountains of mail. In fact, in a small way, the place was bustling. You should have seen it, sir. You should have seen it. Lipwig, are you? He snapped out a dream of chandelier to see a thick-set man in front of him. Recognition took a moment, but it said... and then said it was the owner of Hobson's livery stable and most famous notorious such establishment in the city. It was probably not high of a criminal activity that popular rumor suggested. The huge town's office seemed to contain grubby men with not much to do apart from sitting around and squinting. He was employing an Igor, everyone knew, which of course is sensible and yet such a high veterinary overhead, but you heard stories. Basically, Igors can do pretty much any sort of mad science you want, so I imagine this one's involved in horse genetics, and there's no telling what sort of horse abominations it's making. But I imagine whatever they are, they'll ride good and they're very fast. I may be getting ahead of myself, of course. Oh, hello, Mr. Hobson. I seem you think I hired tired old horses, do you? Said William Hobson. His smile was not entirely friendly. The nervous Stanley stood beside him. Hobson was big and heavy set, but not exactly fat. He's probably what you get if you shaved a bear. I've ridden some that. He began raising hand. Seems you want fizz. His smile widened. I always give the customer what I want. What I want, you know that, so I brought your Boris. Oh, yes, so give me a slow that, Willie. Oh, at the very least, good horseman, are you? When it comes to riding out of town, Mr. Hobson, there's no one faster. That's good, sir, that's good. His slow voice went carefully urging the prey to a trap. Boris has a few faults, but I can see a skilled horseman like you have no trouble. Ready then? He's right outside. Got a man holding him. If I had turned out there were 4 men holding a huge black stein, and a network arose as it danced and lunged and kicked and tried to bite. A 5th man was lying on the ground. Boris was a killer. Like I said, sir, he's got a few faults, but don't call him a... what was it? Yeah, fatigued up old screw. Still want a horse with fizz? His grin said it all. This is what I do to snooty buggers who try to mess me around. So I'd like to see you try this one, mister. I know all about horses. 1 second. Moist looked at Boris, who's trying to trample the fallen man in the watching crowd. Damn, the gold suit of your Moist on liver. There's only one thing to do now, and that was raise the stakes. Yeah, take his bet. Take his saddle off, he said. You what? Take his saddle off, Mr. Hobson. The bag's quite heavy, so let's lose the saddle. His smile remained the rest of his face, tried to saddle away from him. How all the kids you want, have you? Give me a blanket and a belly band, Mr. Hobson. His smile vanished completely. This is going to look too much like murder. You might want to think again, sir. Boris took a couple of fingers off a man last year. He's a trampler too, and a snaffler, and a scraper, and a whore like if he can get away with it. He's got a demon in him, and that's a fact. Knowing Igor's, that very well could be a fact. Will he run? Not so much run as bolt, sir. Born evil, that one. Need a crowbar to get him around corners, too. Look, sir, fair play to you for a gaming, but I got plenty of other... He flinches. Most gave him a special grin. You chose him, Mr. Hobson. I'll write him. I'll be grateful to get your gentleman to point him up Broadway for me while I go and conclude a few items of business. He went to the building, ran up the stairs to his office, shut the door, crammed a handkerchief into his mouth, and whimpered gently for a few seconds until he felt better. I love it. I love it. His poker face is immaculate. He ridden bareback a few times and things had given him really how the Boris had an eye of a crazy thing. But back it off and he'll be just a fool in the shiny suit. You gotta give him a show, an image thing to remember. All he had to do was stay until he left the city and then find a suitable bush to jump into. Yeah, that'd do. And then stagger hours later with still the mail having violently fought off bandits. He'll be believed because that'd feel right, because he wanted to believe things and make a good tale, because if you made it glitter sufficiently, glass could appear more like a diamond than a diamond ever did. There's a cheer and he stepped out on the steps again. The sun on Cuter's side appeared from the mist and sparkled off his wings. Boris looking apparently docile now, chewing his bit. The difficult voice, a horse like Boris was quiet because he was plotting something. Mr. Clump, I'll need you to give me a leg up. Yes, Mr. Ludwig. Mr. Ludwig, he turns to see Satirus and Chris lock her into the street, notebook in hand. Always a pleasure to see you, Satirus. I'm a little busy right now. You're aware the Grand Trunk is shut again. Yes, it's in the paper. Now if I must, are you challenged? So you are challenging the class company. The pencil hung poised. Just delivering the mail, just like I said I'd do. But it's rather strange that a man on horseback is more reliable than, please, Mr. Chrysalis, with a post office. We don't go in for petty rivalry. We're sorry your colleagues in class company are experiencing temporary difficulties with their machinery. We fully sympathize if they would like us to deliver their messages, and we'd of course be happy to sell them some stamps. Soon be available in penny, 2 penny, 5 penny, 10 penny, and $1 values here in your post office, ready gummed. Incidentally, we tend to flavor the gum in licorice, orange, cinnamon, and banana flavors, but not strawberry because I hate strawberries. She could see her smile as he wrote. He could see her smile as she wrote this down. She said, "Did I hear you correctly? You're offering to carry class messages? Certainly. Ongoing message you put in the trunk and slow lap. Helpfulness is our middle name. Are you sure it's not cheekiness?" said the laughter crowd. "I don't understand you, I'm sure. Now, if you will, you're cocking a snook at the class people again, aren't you?" "Ah, that must be a journalist term. I'd never owned a snook, and if I did, I wouldn't know how to cock it. Now, if you will excuse me, I have mail to deliver, and I'll leap before Boris eats someone. Again." "Can I ask you one last thing? Will your soul be unduly diminished if Otto takes a picture of you departing?" "I suppose I can't stop you there, by my face sitting very clear," said Moist, as Mr. Crump cupped his pottery hand to make a step. "The priest is very hot on that, you know." "Yes, I expect the priest is," said Miss Cripslock, making sure the inverted commas clanged with irony. "Besides, by the look of the creature, it might be the last chance we get. It looks like death on 4 legs, Mr. Lipwig." The crowd was silent as he mounted. Boris merely shifted his weight a little. "Look at this," he thought, "and what have you got to lose? Your life? You've already been hanged. You're into angel time, and you're impressing the hell out of everyone. Why are they buying stamps? Because you're giving no show. Just say the word, Miss Stone Hobbs' men hauling on the end of the rope, and we let him go. We ain't hanging around. Wait a moment. You see a figure in front of the cloud." He was wearing a figure-hugging gray dress, and he watched it blew a necrotic cloud of smoke, and... No, that's an erotic cloud of smoke in the sky, gave him a look and shrug. "Dinner tonight, Miss Dearheart," he shouted. Heads turned, was a ripple of laughter and a few cheers. For a moment she flashed on looked and could have left a shadow on the smoking remains of the wall opposite. Then she gave a curt nod. Who knows? There could be peaches underneath. Let him go, boys, said Moist, his heart soaring. The men dived away, the world still for a breath as Boris sprang from dust out into a mad rearing dance, back legs clattering the flags on hooves pawing the air. Wonderful. Hold it. The world went white. Boris went mad. Okay. Chapter 7a, Post Haste. The nature of Boris the Horse. Foreboding Tower. Miss Litwick cools off. The lady with buns on her ears. Invitation accepted. Mr. Robinson's box. And a mysterious stranger. Hobson had tried Boris as a racehorse, and he would have been a very good one if not for his unbreakable habit of, at the off, attacking the horse next to him and jumping the railings at the first bend. Moist clapped his hand on his hat, wedged his shoes into a belly band, hung on the reins as Broadway came at him all at once. Carts and people blurring past, his eyeballs pressing to his head. There's a car across the street, but there's no possibility of steering Boris. Huge muddles bulged, and there was a low, slow one as he drifted over the cart. Wait, did I hear that right? The horse drifted. How the hell does a horse drift? Horses slid over cobbles ahead in a trail of sparks when he landed again, but he recovered by sheer momentum and accelerated. Dear God, this horse is a race car. The usual crowd around Hubbard's gate scattered and filling the horizon with the planes. They explained that Boris's mad horse brain, while its space knights find only a few easily jumped obstacles like trees. He found extra muscle and speed up again, bushes and trees and carts flying toward him. He cursed with a bravado that made when he ordered the saddle taken away. Every part of his body already hated him, but in true Boris, when he could pass the pineapple, wasn't too bad a rhyme. He hit his rhythm, a natural single-footed gait, and his spurting eyes were focused on the blueness. He had everything for the moment subsided for the sheer joy of space. Everything was for the moment. His hatred for everything was for a moment subsided by the sheer joy of space. Hobson was right, he couldn't steer with a mount, but he was at least headed in the right direction, which was away from his stable. Boris didn't want to spend the days kicking the bricks out of the wall while waiting to throw the next bumpkiss idiot. He wanted to bite the horizon. He wanted to run. Moist carefully removed his hat and gritted it in his teeth. He didn't dare imagine what happened if he lost it, and he needed to have it on his head at the end of the journey. It was important. It was all that style. One of the towers of the Grand Trunk was already ahead and slightly to the left. There were 2 or 20 miles between England-Port and Slow Out because they're taking almost all the traffic of lines that stretch right across the continent. Beyond Slow Out, the trunk was split into tributaries, but here, flashing overhead, the words of the world were flowing. Or they should be flowing, but the shutters were still. As he drew level, Moist saw men working high up in the open wooden tower, but I looked at the whole section and broken off. Ha! So long, suckers. That takes some repairing. Fourth note when I attempted delivery at Pseudopolis, maybe. He talked to the postman, if not as if they were paid to post office or a damn coaches. Maybe it wouldn't matter if the class got repaired in time either, because the post office had made the effort. The class company was a big bully, sacking people, racking up charges, and making money for bad service. The post office is now the underdog, and an underdog always finds somewhere soft to bite. I love this so much. Carefully easing more blanket under him. Various organs were going numb. The towering fusing report were falling far behind, so that was visible between Boris' ears a plume of lesser smokes. The tower disappeared astern, and Moist could see the next one. He'd ridden more than a third of the way in 20 minutes, and Boris still eating up ground. About halfway between the city and an old stone tower, all remained a heap of ruins surrounded by woodland. It was almost as high as a Clax tower, and Moist wondered why they simply hadn't used it as one. It was probably too derelict to survive in a gale of under the weight of shutters, he thought. The air looked bleak, and a piece of witty wilderness in the endless fields. If he had spurs, it would have spurred Boris on this point, probably would have been thrown, trampled, and eaten for his pains. Instead, he lowered the horse's back and tried to think about what this ride was doing to his kidneys. Time passed, the second tower went by, and Boris dropped into a cancer. So that was clearly visible now. Moist could make out the city walls and turns to the castle. He had to jump off, and there was no other way. Moist had tried a half dozen snares as the walls loomed, but nearly all of them involved haystacks. The one that didn't was the one where he broke his neck. But it didn't seem to occur to Boris to turn aside. He was on a road, with the road straight and through his gateway, and Boris had no problem with that. Besides, he wanted a drink. The streets were crowded with things that couldn't be jumped or trampled, but it was a horse throw. He was only vaguely aware of something falling off his back. Slow Out wasn't a big city. He once spent a happy week there, passing a few dull bills, pulling off the indignant air trick once or twice, selling a glass ring on the way out, not so much for money as it was a permanent fascination with human deviousness and gullibility. Now he staggered up the steps of the town hall, watched by a crowd. He pulled open doors and slammed a mailbag on the desk of the first clerk he saw. Mail ring report, he growled, and started out at 9, so it's fresh, okay? But it's only 10:15. What mail? He tried to get angry. He stormed it. See this hat? You see it? It means I am the postmaster general of Fork. This is your mail. In an hour, I'm going back again, understand? If you want mail delivered to the big city by 2 p.m., ouch, make that 3 p.m., let's put it in the bag. These, he had a lot of stamps under a young man's notes, are stamps. Red ones, 2 pence, black ones, a penny. They cost 11 pence per letter. Got it? Angry accounting. You can sell the stamps, you give me the money, you lick the stamps and put it on a letter. Express delivery guaranteed. I'll make you acting postmaster for an hour. There's an inn next door. I'm going to find a bath. I want a cold one, really cold. Got an ice house here? As cold as that. Colder. Oh, colder. And a drink. I want a sandwich, and by the way, there's a big black horse stop. You people can catch him, please put a saddle on him and a cushion and drag him off a facing report. Do it. It's only a hip bath, but at least there's a nice house in the city. He's sat in a state of bliss among the floating ice, drinking a brandy and listening to commotion outside. After all, as a knock on the mail was quiet. Are you decent, Mr. Postmaster? Thoroughly decent, but not dressed. He reached out beside and pulled his winged hat on again. Do come in. The mayor was a short, bird-like man. He had become mayor very recently, or immediately the post had been welded by a big fat man. Or thought the robe was going to trail so bit behind you, and a chain to reach to the waist was the look of civic dignitaries. Joe Campbell, sir. I'm the mayor here. Really good to see you, Joe. He said, passing the glasses. I don't get up. Your horse has run away after eating in 3 minutes, sorry to say. Really? He never usually does that. Don't worry, sir. We'll catch him anyway and let you have the horse to get back on. Not as fast, though. Oh, dear, see, he's up a new position. That's a shame. Oh, I know all about you, Mr. Liberty, said the winking spirits. Write some copies of the Times and mailbag. A man who wants to be up and doing, you see. You are. A man full of vim, you are. A man after my own heart, you are. A name for the moon, you do. You see your target and go for what hell for leather, you do. That's how I does business, too. You're a go-getter just like me. I'd like you to put it here, sir. What where? He said, staring uneasily. Oh, he took the proffered hand. What is your business, Mr. Campbell's? I make parasols, said the mayor. About time the class company's told what's what. That's all fine till a few months ago. I mean, I made you pay for your nose, but at least I got where it was fast and near. But now these breakdowns, repairs, they charge you even more. They never tell you how long you're going to be waiting. It's always very shortly. It's always sorry for the inconvenience. They even got it written on a sign hanging up in the office. It's warm in here as a thrown knife, like you said. So, you know what we done? We went around the class tower and sang a serious word with young Davy, who's a decent lad. He gave us back all the overnight class for Big C and never got sent. How about that, eh? Want to get into trouble? He says he's quitting anyway. None of the boys like the way companies run now. They'll have been stamped for you, just like you said. Well, I'll let you get dressed, Mr. Leg. Your horse is ready. Stop the door. Oh, and I found those stamps. Is there a problem, Mr. Campbell? Not such. I wouldn't say anything against Lord Van Nuys or Hank Ford, said a man living within 20 miles of a proud and touchy citizenry. But it don't seem right, licking their stamps. Couldn't you print up some for us? We got a queen. She'll look good on a stamp. We're an important city, you know. I'll see what I can do, Mr. Campbell's. Got a picture of any chance? They'll all want one, he thought, as he got dressed. Having your own stamps be like having your own flag, your own crest. It could be big. And back to do a deal with my friend Mr. Spools. Oh, yes, doesn't matter if you ain't got your own post office. You gotta have your own stamp. I love it so much. And there's a crowd saw off on a horse, which, well, no, Boris says best thing to know what reins were for. He declared. He gratefully accepted the cushion on the saddle, too. That had more glitter in the glass. He'd ridden so hard he needed a cushion, which, to be frank, he really did. He set off with a full bag. Amazing most people bought stamps just to own them. The times had gotten around. Here's something new, so people want to be part of it. Once he was canning over the field, though, he saw the fizz die away. He was employing Stanley, a bunch of game but creepy old men and some golems. He couldn't keep this up. But the thing was, you added sparkle. You told people what you intended to do, and they believed you could do it. Anything could be done this ride. Anyone could have done this ride. No one had. They kept waiting for a class to be repaired. And there's the truth of it. He took things gently along the road, speeding up when he passed the class tower, had been under repair. It was still under repair, in fact, he could see more men around it high up in the tower. His definition of repair work was suddenly going faster. As he watched, he sure he saw someone fall off. It wouldn't be a good idea to be over there and see if he could help, though, not going to continue him for life with his own teeth. Besides, there's a long drop down the cabbage fields, handily combining death and burial at the same time. He speeded up till when he reached the city. Someone trying the post office is not an option. The queen, still a queen, cheered when he came up. Mr. came running over as fast as the crab could run. He made it on the delivery, sir. Got a full bag already, and everyone's asking when you're taking the suit of Populus and Quirm. Got one here for Lancashire, too. What is 500 damn miles, man? Moises Nando to save his legs, turned the action to more of a drop. It all got busy since you were wasted, Grode. Oh, yes, indeed. Ain't got enough people. Been wanting jobs, sir, since the paper came out. People from old postal families just like me. Even some workers out of retirement. So they'll be taking him on pro tem for the time being, seeing as I'm active postmaster. Oh, but it's all right with you, sir? And Mrs. Fools is running off some more stamps. I tried sending Stanley up there for more. I hear we'll get some early 5 pennies and dollars out tonight. Great times, answer. Yes, said Moist. The whole world kind of turned into a bore. It's moving fast and inclined to bite and impossible to steer. The only way not to be ground down was to stay on top. Inside the hall, extra makeshift tables being set up. They were crowded with people. It was selling them the envelopes and papers they wrote. The ink's a free gratis. Did you think that up? No, it's what we used to do. Mr. McClare got a load of cheap paper from schools. Miss McClare, who's she? Very old post office family, sure. She decided to work for you. Look a little nervous. Sorry, she decided to work for me? Well, you know what it's like a post office people, sir. We don't like to "Are you the postmaster?" said a withering voice behind him. The voice went over his head, bore down for his memories, rifled to his ears, found the right levers, battened them up, and pulled. And in moist in case of found froze shamblers. In the second school year, participated out of the warm, easygoing kindergarten of froze Tessel. Smelling of finger paint, Play-Doh, and inadequate toiletry on the cold bench and skirt my froze shamblers, smelling of education. It was as bad as being born with the added disadvantage your mother wasn't there. Moist automatically looked down. Yes, there they were, the sensible shoes, the black stockings that are slightly hairy, the baggy cardigan. Oh, yes, the cardigan. Rose Shamblers used to stuff the sleeves with handkerchiefs. And the glasses and expression was like an early frost, and her hair was plaited and coiled up on either side, and those discs that back home in overall they called snails. But here, on California, they put people in mind of one with a curly ice bun clamped to each ear. "Now look here, Miss McCleary," said Firmly, "I'm the postmaster. I'm in charge. I'm not intended to be browbeaten by a member of the corn stand just because their ancestors work here. I do not fear your clumpy shoes, Miss McCleary. I smile happily in the teeth of your icy stare. Fie on you! Now that I am a grown man in Rose Chambers, I will not quake. I will quake at your sharp voice, and I will control my bladder perfectly however hard you look at me. Oh yes, indeed. For I am the postmaster, and my word here is law." That is what his brain said. Unfortunately, it came out right after a trembling backbone the way up, and it was just, yes, which kind of squeak. "Mr. Lipwick, I ask you, I have nothing against them, but these golems you're employing, are you, these golems you're employing, gentlemen or ladies?" The terrible woman demanded. This official inspected and drilled him back to saying reality. "Well, I don't know, what's the difference? A bit more clay, less clay, why?" She pulled her arms, causing both Moist and Mr. Grow to shy backwards. "I hope you're not funning with me, Mr. Ludwig." "What, funning? I'm for fun," he said as he pulled himself together. Whatever happened next, he couldn't be made to stand in the corner. "I do not fun, Miss Clare. I have no history of funning, and if I was inclined to fun, I do not dream of funning with you. What is the problem?" "One of them was in the ladies' restroom, Mr. Moist." "Doing what? I mean, they don't eat, so cleaning it, apparently," said Miss McClure, trying to suggest she had dark suspicions on this point. "But I heard them referred to as Mr. Well, they do odd jobs all the time, but they don't like to stop working. We prefer to give them Mr. as an honorific because it seems wrong, and there's some people whom the word Miss is not appropriate, Miss McClure. It's the principle of the thing, Mr. Lipwick. Anyone called Mr. is not allowed in ladies. This sort of thing can only lead to hanky-panky. I will not stand for it, Mr. Lipwig." He stared at her and looked at Mr. Hump, who was near far away. "Mr. Pump, is there any reason why one of the golems can't have a new name in interest of hanky-panky avoidance?" I know. The words are so crazy. No, Mr. Lewis. He turned around Miss McClaren. "What Gladys do, Miss McClaren?" "And Gladys is sufficient, Mr. Lewis," she said with a triumph in her voice. "She must be properly clothed, of course, but a golem isn't. They don't have." He quailed under the glare and gave up. "Yes, Miss McClare, something gingim, I think, Mr. Pump. I shall arrange it, postmaster. Will that be all right, Miss McClare?" "For the present," she says, as she agreed there is no further things to complain about. "Mr. Gart knows my particulars, postmaster. I'll now return to the proper execution of my duty, otherwise people try to steal the pins again. You have to watch them like hawks, you know." "A good woman," asked the grocer her way. "Fifth generation, Miss McClare. Maiden name kept for professional purposes, of course." "They get married?" From the mob around. From the Moisture Cock in the ring command. "Put this pin back this minute. Do you think I'm made of pins?" "Yes, sir," said Grover. "Do they bite their husband's head off on the wedding night?" "I wouldn't know that sort of thing, sir," said Grover, blushing. "But she's even got a bit of a mustache." "Yes, there's someone for everyone in this wonderful world, sir." "And we got other people looking for work, you say?" "That's right, because of the bit of paper, sir." "You mean this morning?" "I expected that helped, sir, but I reckon it's the lunchtime edition did." "What lunchtime edition?" "We got all over the front page. I put a copy in your desk upstairs." He pushed a mailbag in a man's arm. "Get this. Sort, if there's enough mail for a delivery to go, find some kid who's mad for the job and put him on a horse and get him to take it. Doesn't be fast and call it the overnight delivery. Tell him to see the mayor and come back in the morning with any fresh mail." "Right you are, sir. I can do an overnight inquiry and see the populace, sir. We can change a horse like the mail coaches do." "Hang on, why can't the mail coaches take it?" "Hell, they're still called mail coaches, right? We know they take stuff from anyone on the quiet." "Well, let me post office back in business. We take out mail, go find whoever runs it and tell them so." "Yes, sir. I thought how we're going to send posts to the moon yet, sir." "One thing at a time, Mr. Grote. That's not like you, sir. All at once is more your style, sir." "I wish it wasn't," said Moist, as he eased his way upstairs. "But he had to move fast. He always moved fast. His whole life had been movement." Move fast because you never know what's trying to catch up. He paused on the stairs. Not Mr. Pump. The golem hadn't left the post office. He hadn't tried to catch him up. Was it because he'd been on postal business? How long had he be away on postal business? Could he fake his death, maybe? Pile clothes on the shore trick? Worth remembering. All he needed was a long enough start. How did golems' mind actually work? You have to Miss Deerheart had been flying so high that he asked her out. That made a problem now because most of the lower part of his body was on fire, but not especially for Miss Deerheart. Oh, well, he thought as he entered the office, probably because perhaps he could find a restaurant with really soft seats. Faster than the speed of light. Old-fashioned mail beats clacks. Amazing scenes as Postmaster delivers, says Snook Not Cocked Post Office. The headline screamed at him as soon as he saw the paper. He almost screamed back. The headline screamed as he saw the paper. He almost screamed back. Of course, he said all that, but he said in the innocent, smiling face of Miss Hatcher's of Criplock, not to the whole world. And then she written it down truthfully, and suddenly, you got this. I'm not sure if she was. Yeah, I think I said she wasn't writing it as sarcasm. That's what it is. But I think she did catch the sarcasm. So she's being honest, from a certain point of view. The picture was good, though. Oh wait, he never bought a newspaper. He's an artist. He wasn't interested in big schemes. Just one of the man in front of you looked him sincerely in the eyes. The picture was good, though, I had to admit. The rearing horse, the winged hat, and above all, the slight blurring with speed. That was impressive. He relaxed a little. The place is operating. Mail's being posted. Mail's being delivered. Okay, so major part is a classified working properly. Maybe in time you'll see the letter your sister didn't need to cost 30 pence to maybe get there in an hour, but it might as well cost a mere 5 pence to get there in the morning. Ah, that's what they get you, the discounts. Stanley knocked my door and pushed it open. Cup of tea, Mr. Ludwig, and with a bun, sir. You're an angel in heavy disguise, Stanley said Morse, pushing back with care and wincing. Thank you, sir. Got some messages for you, sir. Thank you, Stanley. There's only pause to remember this is Stanley is talking to. Please tell me what they are, Stanley. The golem lady came in and said, tell the streak of lightning he'll have another 8 golems in the morning. If he's not too busy working miracles, I'll accept. Not too busy working miracles, accept his invitation to dine at 8 in the slow and live for a herux to meet the mended drum at 7. The happy liver, are you sure? But of course to be correct, as in Stanley. Ha, even the damn stupid there is $15. You have to wait 3 weeks and her appointment will be considered booking. By the way, you're wild. Why does she think I... Her eye rested on Mr. Robinson's boxing innocently in the corner of the office. He liked Miss Deerheart. Most people were accessible. Sooner or later, you'd find the springs that worked him. Even Miss McClare would have a lever somewhere. That was a horrible thought. But a doorbell fought back and made sure to fight back even before she was attacked. She was a challenge, and therefore fascinating. She was so cynical, so defensive, so spiky. He had a feeling she could read him much better than he could read her. All in all, she was intriguing, and they looked good in a severely plain dress. Don't forget that bit. Okay, thank you, Stanley. Anything else? He put a sheet of slide damn green-gray stamps on the desk. The first dollar stamps, sir, he announced. My word, Mrs. Spools has done a good job here, he said, staring at hundreds of little pictures in the university tower bar. It even looks worth $1. Yes, sir, you'll hardly notice the middle man jumping from the top. He snatched a sheet from the boy's hand. Where? You need a magnifying glass, sir, and only on a few of them. Some of them he's in the water. Mr. Spools is very sorry, sir. There must be some sort of induced magic. You know, like even a picture of a wizard's tower might be a bit magical, too. There's a few faults in some of the others. The printing went wrong in some of the black painting ones, and Lord Venery's got great hair, sir. Some of them got gum on, but they're alright. Some people had asked for them that way. Why? They said it's good as real pennies and a lot lighter, sir. Do you like stamps, Stanley? Said most kindly. You feel a lot better in a seat that didn't go up and down. Oh, yes, sir. Really, they're wonderful. Amazing, sir. As good as that. It's like being there when they invented the first pen, sir. His face glowed. Really? The first pen, eh? Outstanding. Well, in that case, Stanley, you're head of stamps. The whole department, which is, in fact, you. How do you like that? I imagine you already know more about them than anyone else. Oh, I do, sir. For example, the first one of the penny stamps used a different type of... Good. Well done. Can I keep this first sheet as a souvenir? Of course, sir. Head of stamps, sir. Wow. Is there a hat? If you like it, said General, see if I have a sheet of stamps to put them in his inside pocket. So much more convenient than dollars. Wow, indeed. Or perhaps a shirt ad, asking about stamps. Good idea, sir. Can I go and tell Mr. Grove? He'll be so proud of me. Ah. Off you go, Stanley, but come back in 10 minutes when you have a letter for you to deliver personally. He ran off, moist up in a wooden box that fanned out his trays obediently and flexed his fingers. Seemed anyone who was, anyone had their paper printed by Tamer and Spools. He thumbed through his recently acquired paper samples and spotted the Grand Trunk Company, fast as light, from the office of the chairman. It was tempting, very tempting. They were rich, very rich. Even in current trouble, they were still big, and Moist never met a head waiter who hated money. He found a copy of yesterday's Times. I read a picture, yes, here. A picture of Richard Gilt, they spelled it wrong there. Chairman of the Grand Turk of some function. He lived with a better class of pirate. A buccaneer, maybe, but one who took time to polish his plank. The flowing back hair, that beard, the eye patch, oh God, it's a cockatoo. That was a look, wasn't it? He didn't pay much attention to the company. It was too big, and when he heard they practically owned its own army. Things get tough in the mountains when you're all along from a long way from anything resembled a watchman. It wasn't a good idea still because people who did their own law enforcement tend to be very definite. But he was intending wouldn't be stealing, it might even be breaking the law. Fooling a Maitre D was practically a public service. Look at the picture again. How would a man like that sign his name? Flowing but small, that'd be a handwriting of Reacher Guilt. He was so florid, sociable, such a huge personality, one who was good at something might wonder if another shard last night tried to sparkle like a diamond. And the essence of forgery is to make by misdirection careful timing the glass look so much more like a diamond than a diamond does. Well, it was worth a try. It's not always going to swindle anyone as such. Small yet flowing, yes, but someone who'd never seen the man's writing would expect it to be elegantly big, curvy, just like him. He poised the pen with pen and paper and wrote Maitre D and Lafoy Henrik, so most people you can find a tale from my good friend, Mr. Lipwig. It's lady at 8 o'clock tonight. Oh, this is gonna get around. This is gonna get around, and they'll find out, and it'll be amazing. I can't wait. I'm most grateful. That was good. The Reacher Guild persona was probably tipped like a drunken sailor. He folded the letters addressed in the envelope where Stanley Angro came in. You have a letter, Mr. Lewis, says Guy proudly. Yes, here it is. Not me one for you. They exchanged envelopes. He laughed curiously at the package and opened it with a thumb. I got bad news, sir, said Stanley. He looked at the letter. Postmaster, the Pseudo-Hopless class line will break down at 9 a.m. tomorrow. The smoking you. Yes, sir. I went around to coach office, I believe it says, told them what you said, and they said if you stick your business thing very much, and I'll stick to theirs. So much in the letter. Well, you're sure something called a smoking new, Mr. Rowe. What's a gnu, sir? Like a bit of a dangerous cow, I think. What are you saying about the coach people? They gave me lip, sir, is what they'll give me. I told them that I'm an assistant postmaster, and they said, so what? And I said, I'll tell you, sir. And they said, you know what they said, sir? Oh, yes, I'm all agog, Tolliver. His eyes are scanning the strange letter over and over again. They said, yeah, right, he said, beacon of righteous indignation. I wonder if Mr. Trooper can still fit me in, mused moist saying, sorry, sir. Oh, nothing. I suppose I better go and talk to him. Go find Mr. Pump, would you? And tell him to bring a couple of our golems. I want to impress people. Igor opened the first door at the answer to the knock. There was no one there. He stopped outside and looked up and down the street. There was no one there. He stepped back inside, closed the door behind him, and no one was standing in the hall, his black cloak dripping with rain, removing his wide-brimmed hat. Ah, Mr. Griles, sir, he said with a tall figure. I had sort of known it was you. Reacher Glilt asked for me, said Griles, with a more breath in the voice. Actually, let me do it differently. Reacher Glilt asked for me, said Griles, his more breath in the voice. The clan of Igors had tendency of shuddering bread out of it generations ago, and now it's just really about easy and offensive Griles and his kind. The master was expecting, but there was no one there. It wasn't magic, and Growl wasn't a vampire. Igor could spot those. It's just there was nothing spare about him. Spare flesh, spare time, or spare words. It was impossible to imagine him collecting pins, or savoring wine, or even throwing up into a bad pie. The picture and cleaning his feet or sleeping until he failed to form in the mind. Even the impression of restraining himself with difficulty from killing you. Thoughtfully, Igor went down to his little room off the kitchen and checked his little leather bag as packed, just in case. And suddenly Richard Glitt was from poured a small brandy. Growl looked him all around at his eyes that seemed not at home with the limited vistas of a room. And for yourself, Siglet? Water, said Growl. I expect you know what this is about? No. He's not made for small talk or came to it any talk at all. You read the papers? Do not read. You know at the post office? Yes. How may I ask? There is talk. You let it stuck to that. Mr. Growl had a special tack in from a package with funny little ways, and so be it. Besides, he's trustworthy, a man without middle grounds. He'd never blackmail you, because such an attempt would be the first move in a game that will certainly end the death of someone. If he found himself in such a game, he'd kill right now without further thought in order to save time, assuming that anyone else would too. Presumably he was insane by usual human standards, but it's hard to tell. The phrase differently normal might do instead. After all, I could probably defeat a vampire in 10 seconds out of another vulnerability, except perhaps an inordinate fondness for pigeons. He'd been a real find. Okay, I know they mentioned the pigeons don't come back, so I assume that's for devouring pigeons or something. And you found nothing about Mr. Lipwig? No. Father dead. Mother dead. Raised by grandfather. Sent away to school. Bullied. Ran away. Vanished. Wonder where he's been all this time or who he's been. He didn't waste breath on rhetorical questions. He is a nuisance. Understood. And that was a charm. Growl did understand. He seldom needed an order, you just had to state the problem. The fact that it was Growl you're saying to went a long way toward showing what the solution would likely be. The post office is old and full of paper. Oh wait, yeah, very dry paper, cigarette. It'd be rebel to find a place called fire. Understood. And that was another thing like Growl. He didn't talk much, especially not talk about old times or any of the little solutions he provided for Reacher Glitt. He never said things like, what do you mean? He understood. Require $1,300. Of course, I'll class you amount in and we'll take cash. Gold? I don't keep that much around. I can get a few days, so I thought you preferred. I don't trust the semaphore now, but our ciphers are very well. I don't trust the semaphore now. Very well. Description. No one seems to remember what he looks like, said Glit, but he always wears a big golden hat with wings and he has an apartment in the building. For a moment, something flickered in Growl's thin lips. There was a smile, panicking to find himself in such an unfamiliar place. Can he fly? Alas, seems inclined to venture in he doesn't seem inclined to venture to high places. He stood up. I will do this tonight. Good man, or rather, understood, said Gryle. And that was chapter 8. We're getting, seems I'm over 2 hours, but if that's if you count the 10 minutes. But, so technically I've only been reading for an hour 15, not even counting me having that coughing fit. But I know another chapter will take a little while, so what I'm thinking is, I'll just stop here for now and raid someone. I'm sure that'd be a good time for everybody. So, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad you gang could raid me too.